Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning mga kabanat. Ipakita ko lang sa inyo itong ginawang live kahapon ito. Kaso lang hindi ko nga na live ito dahil may pinuntahan ako. So ngayon ko lang mga kabanat ila-live itong ginawang pagdinig ni na Senador Gordon kahapon patungkol sa Pharmally, kung saan medyo uminit na naman yung ulo niya. Although hindi ko to lahat na panood dito mga kabanat dahil napakahaba nga itong video na ito. So ngayon ko panoorin sa pamamagitan ng ila-live ko rin para at least siguro kung mayroon pang mga followers ako ditong hindi nakapanood ay makita nila ito mga kabanat. Itong ginawang pagdinig kahapon sa Senado. Alas 3 kasi ng hapon, sakto din alam mo na, medyo tumatanda na rin may sila kahapon. Medyo hindi ko na kasi may pinuntahan nga ako. So ipakita ko lang sa inyo to mga kabanat at mainit-init talaga yung discussion dito dahil medyo nakita ko kasi sa review konti, ni-review ko lang konti pero hindi ko talaga napanood na parang itong si Senador Gordon na medyo nainit na naman yung ulo niya lalo na dito kay President Duterte. Ang sabi nga ni Senador Gordon, naghahanap tayo ng pera, puro utang tayo, bakit hindi na ito ipinahabol ni President Duterte? Yung mga tax daw na babayaran, napakalaki itong babayaran ng Pharmally. Bakit daw hindi pinahabol ni President Duterte? So, good question din naman. Bakit nga ba hindi ito pinahabol ni President Duterte? Kasi ang tax, napakalaking babayaran ng Pharmally. Ang tax hanggang ngayon, tila sa pagdinig kahapon, tila wala pa rin ipinakita itong Pharmally ng mga dokumento patungkol sa tinatawag nilang box. Kasi nandun yung lahat ng dokumento, pagbili, kung sino nagbigay sa iyo ng pera, kung sino nag-supply sa inyo ng mga items, lalo na yung pera. Kasi hindi nila talaga ipakita yung pera nila kung saan nanggaling. Iwan ko lang bakit ganyan. So narito na mga kabanan, hindi ko na patagalin. So panoorin nyo na ito. Skip ko lang konti kasi itong naka-preview na nakikita nyo ay mayroon niyang may music, parang may sound. Baga, gumamit sila ng music diyan. Sigurado yan pag ipakita ko sa inyo yan. Kaya naka-mute lang yan. Malamang makaka-copyright ako dyan. So, ano ko na lang. Itadrag ko na lang ito konti. Doon tayo sa start talaga ng pagdinig. Dahil lang. Hindi pa ito 19 yun sa 19. Ito, pwede na. Pagkalabas ni Senador Gordon, iyan ako na ito. May sound pa rin. Dahil lang
Alam natin na nagsimula itong hearing na ito, moto proprio. Inuna ko muna yung mga nurses at saka yung mga healthcare workers dahil sila ang frontliner natin at kung di nababayaran yung kanilang SRA, talaga mapipilayan tayo lalo na ngayon may pumapasok na naman na bagong variant yung Omicron. And that is why I'm happy to tell you na during the budget deliberation, tinanong namin sila na sina Senator Angara kung naipasok yung mga amendment ng inyong ibang lingkod na madadagdagan sila ng 43 billion pesos para mabayaran yon. At saka yung daw mga allowances na hinahanap natin para sa mga nurses, ang sabi sa akin na ipasok yon among many others. And I think Senator Antiveros will bear me out.
siya.
So hindi tayo naglulubid ng buhangin dito. As I speak therefore, I hope that we can also pass yung sinasabi natin na resolution natin na madagdagan yung sweldo nila na aabot ata na about 400 million kung di ako nagkakamali para mabigyan lahat ang mga nurses at iba pa, mga SRA, pati mga barangay health workers ng ayuda, ng tulong, lalo na sa mga public at saka sa private hospitals. Isinama na natin dahil ngayon na naman, that is very, very convincing na kailangan bigayan sapagkat lalo na ngayon, kung yung mga balita dito sa tinatawag natin Omicron ay totoo at palagi ko, di ko muna sasabihin kung totoo yan, talagang baka mapunta na naman tayo sa lugar ng Karimlan. So, dito muna po ako aalis dyan sa issue ng Omicron pero gusto ko lang sabihin sa mga nurses at pati rin yung mga doktor at ang mga senador iniingatan na talagang maproteksyonan lahat ang ating mga healthcare workers, from doctors to nurses to barangay health workers, lalo na yung mga natatrabaho sa front lines, lalo sa mga ospital. And as I speak about Omicron, panibago na naman yan. At yan ako nanghihinayang dito sa mga hindi maipaliwanag kung dumating ang mga stocks na tinatawag natin. Kapag up to now, ang nalalaman ko lang na nag-deliver na sinasabi nila ay yung nag-deliver ng galing sa China, yung kumpanya ng mahirap i-pronounce eh. Suzhou. At yun ay na-discover rin natin na walang hindi rin nakabayad ng tax at kahit paano hopefully maraming makukuha. At habang tayo nag-uusap, mayroong mga volunteers na mga accountants na kasama yung grupo nila Malumang Ahas na talagang sila ay nagsabi na sa pagsusulit nila maabot ng 5 billion pesos. So far, ang babayaran, 5.2 billion pesos ang babayaran ng Pharmally. At ngayong araw na ito, ay tutuloy natin ang investigasyon. Una, konting paliwanag. Pinahagan ng inyong abang lingkod at ng committee ng Blue Ribbon na mag-usap si Mr. Ong at saka si Mr. Dargani out of respect to them, yung kanilang request. Pinahagan na natin sila, magagamit ang telepono para si Mr. Ong makakausap niya at any time. At we are very liberal when it comes to them. Hindi natin pinadala si Twinkle Dargani sa anuman, although I think kaya naman niya ang nangyayari dahil sila sabi nasisiraan na raw siya ng bait o di umano, ganun ang pinalalabas sila. Di ako naniniwala na nasisiraan siya ng bait o nawawala siya sa kanya sarili, hindi niya maalala kung sino siya. Yun ang balita sa amin ni Mr. Dargani, ng kanyang kapatid na si Mohit. To make a long story short, nung pinayagan natin itong si Ong at saka si Mr. Dargani, na lalabas sila para makuha yung sinasabi nilang mga kahon. At yan ay tungkulin ni Miss Twinkle na naandito nung presidente siya na malaman niya yung mga papeles na kung nasa naroon. At pati si Mohit Dargani, nasa kanya ang bilang corporate secretary, nasa kanya ang mga records ng ating hinahanap, katulad ng mga cost of goods sold at kung saan napunta yung mga goods na yan at anong halaga para malaman natin kung paano nila binayaran yung in-import nila. Gusto rin nating malaman yan dahil habang nag-iimbestiga tayo, lumalabas na wala pa silang maipakita kung saan ang galing ibinayad nila para makapag-import dyan ng kanilang goods. At yun ang hinahanap ko rin dahil pinigil ni Attorney Duterte or rather ni President Duterte yung pagpunta rito ng mga kawani ng gobyerno ay hindi natin makuha-kuha pa so far na dapat meron ng BIR, kung ginagawa ng BIR ang kanilang tungkulin at wala akong dapat alalahanin na hindi nila ginagawa yan sapagkat kailangan ng gobyerno ng pera, ay dapat malaman natin talaga kung saan nanggaling ang pera yan. Pati customs documents, malalaman natin kung talagang nagpasok sila ng pera dahil may mga patakaran asinta dyan para hindi tayo masasalisi ng mga hindi nagbabayad ng tax at naghuhugas lamang ng pera, itatawag natin naglalaba ng pera o itatawag natin money laundering at yan ay napakahalaga. Kaya hindi ho natin dinadrag ito. Ang nagpapatagal nito ay yung mga taga-gobyerno na hindi pinapayagan ng presidente na pumunta rito at ito mga Dargani na nagsinungaling na naman. Balikan natin sila nung pinayagan ko sila na pumunta doon sa kanilang opisina para hanapin yung boxes. The next day, tinawag sila ni General Rene Samonte at ang nangyari na sumama ang loob ni Secretary ng Sergeant at Arms natin na si General Samonte, isang magiting na opisyal na dati ng AFP, ng Philippine Air Force, sapagkat pinapasyal sila. Hindi raw nila malaman kung nasa naroon, hindi nila alam kung saan pupunta, sinasabi dito, tapos hindi raw doon. Kaya doon na po napatid ang pagtitiwala natin lubusan dito sa pangkat ni Dargani at saka ni Ong. Kaya napadala na po sila tuloy-tuloy sa Pasay City Jail. We thank the Pasay City Jail Warden nakuha na sila ng litrato, na fingerprint na sila, at nandun sila doon. At yan ay alinsunod sa kapangyarihan na hindi na kami nagpapakalasing dyan. Ginagawa lang yung power of contempt para ipagtanggol ang Senado na hindi pwedeng lokohin ng mga tao sapagkat ito ay napakalaki ang kanilang tungkulin at mawawalan ng bisa ang mga aid in legislation natin, in aid of legislation na sinasabi natin. Dahil kung walang inquiry, hindi natin malalaman kung ano ang kulang doon sa batas. At yan ay kailangan natin malaman yan. Pasulong po tayo doon sa tinatawag natin, inherent power of contempt is of utmost importance. Kailangan makapag-legislate tayo ng matuno at wisely or effectively in the absence of information respecting the conditions which the legislations are intended to affect or change. Dahil sa pangaharang nitong mga ito, talaga mahihirapan ang Senado. Pero andiyan pa naman ang BIR at mapapatunayan pa rin natin sapagkat meron tayong mga paraang ginagawa ngayon para lumabas lahat yan. Kung akala nila Dargani sufficient na silang magtago at pinagmamalaki pa nila na hindi na sila sisipot ng kanilang abogado, panay ang press release nila, ay talagang hanggang aabutin kayo hanggang matapos itong buhay nitong Congress na ito hanggang June 29 or 30 of the next year. Oh. And you will not get any more free passes from us at the rate you're going. So ngayon, papunta na po tayo ngayon sa mga stocks sapagkat nakalagay doon sa COA report, hindi sila nakakasiguro kung yung mga assets o yung mga binili ay tunay na dumating. At ito ay tunay na nabigay. Ayan ang sinasabi dito sa kanila alinsunod sa paragraph 114 to 153, pages 125 to 127 ng COA report. Sinasabi itong mga conditions na ito, coupled with the leniency of the central office and operating units. Yan ho yung mga ospital. In complying with pertinent rules have caused doubt. Nagkaroon ng duda kung talagang merong mga assets na binili na dumating sa kanila and exposes them sa kawalaan o kasayangan o kaaksayan ng mga binili na tinatawag nating mga sasalapi na dapat napunta sana sa tinatawag natin mga tao na nangangailangan sa pandemya. So ngayon araw na ito, sa mga susunod na hearing, at hindi ako nagmamadali sapagkat talagang huhukayin natin lahat yan at makikita nyo ang mga susunod na tatahakin natin ay yung tinatawag natin ghost deliveries, yung tinatawag natin money laundering, at yung mga buwis na hindi na binabayaran, at pati na rin, papasok na rin tayo doon sa mga hindi nagbabayad na meron silang permanent visa, katulad ni Michael Yang, na talagang napatunayan na talagang hindi nagbabayad ng buwis. Nagsimula lang siya noong 2008 at yan ay violation ng kanyang permanent visa na pwedeng karaka-raka makancel yan ng Bureau of Immigration. At ganoon na rin ang asawa ni Rose Nono Lim na hindi nagpapakita. Nagtataka ako, palagi sila sabi, yung kanyang kumpanya, Sean Wei, at palagi nabibanggit yung asawa niya at mga kamag-anak ng asawa niya na ito tinatawag natin, hindi naman anti-dummy lamang yan, ngunit talaga ginagamit yung mga pangalan nila Rose Nono Lim na mga kapatid, itong mga ison na hinahanap pa natin, kaya hindi natin matapos-tapos rin sapagkat sila Uson at saka sila Gerald Cruz at iba pa ay hindi nagpapakita, tuloy-tuloy ang pagtatago, ginagamit na yung kanilang pagkatao, yung kanilang mga pangalan, lumang tugtugin na yan para yung tunay na may-ari niya na hindi magbayad ng buwis na malalaki sa ating gobyerno. Kahapon in-interview ako ni Ted Filon at tinanong niya kung ano na yung mga ginawa ni Michael Yang. At sabi ko hindi niya may papaliwanag sapagkat yung kanyang Clark assets, yung kanyang Clark buildings na naandyan ay makikita niyo napakalalaki. At pati yung DCLA Plaza, yung Yangtze Group, yung Pili Estate, at saka yung Patek Land Holdings, yung Happy 168 Development Corporation, andyan lahat, yung Philippine Pili Holdings, Sapphire Jewel 168 Holding. Makakapagtaka kung nagtitinda lang siya ng RTW, paano siya nagkaroon ng full win sa China at nagkaroon din siya ng full win dito na tinatawag niyang Pili. So talagang marami pa po tayong dapat ipakita. Kung makikita niyo yung building, papakita ko din sa inyo para kayo ay magulat. Ayoko kung lumalabas, nakikita ba yan? Ito yung sa Maynila, sa Aquarius, at saka yung isa ay yung sa Clark Field. Ayan. Hindi maliliit na building yan. Clark Majestic World Pili Holdings Corporation. At ang tawag namin dyan ay mga nag-interlocking directorates, naghalo-halo na yung mga ginagamit nilang mga pangalan para ikubli yung kanilang mga, hindi natin malaman kung saan galing yan sapagkat mayroong mga nagsasabi talagang involved sa drugs. Ito mga ito. At pero ako, I'm sure hindi sila nagbabayad ng buwis at ginagawa nilang paghuhugas ng pera na hindi may paliwanag ang ating bansa. Kaya yan po ang ating ako'y sumasang-ayon lang sa sinabi ni President Duterte na dapat wala tayong patawad, makasinghut lang siya, ikanyang ganon, ni President Duterte ng korapsyon. Sabi niya, he will be relentless against corruption. Although inamin niya na siya rin raw ay nagnakaw, kaya lang naubos na sa kanyang bibig, sinabi niya doon sa tinatawag na speech niya sa Chinese General Hospital noong mga nakaraang taon at meron tayong video na sinasabi yan. Hindi naman natin pwedeng sabihin nagbibiro sapagkat matagal na siya nagbibiro at palaging pabawi-bawi ang niyang kinabi. I quote again, I hate corruption. Hindi ako nagmamalinis. Marami rin akong ninakaw pero naubos na. Corruption is really out during my term. Not so, Mr. President, because I demand as a Filipino citizen, not even as a senator, bakit kayo nag-appoint ng tao na silaw na hanggang ngayon hindi nyo pinapahuli? Kung kayo ay sincero, dapat ipahuli nyo sila para humarap dito. Bakit nyo hinaharang ang ating mga bisita galing sa BIR, galing sa iba't ibang departamento? Sapagkat kayo siguro ay, at ako nakakatiyak, kayo sinabi ko na ito, hanggang sa dulo ng pinakabataas na opisyal ng Pilipinas ay may kinalaman dito. Kayo nag-appoint kay Lau, kayo rin ang nag-appoint kay Leong, insurance niyo sa ombudsman, at yan ay kailangan may paliwanag ninyo taong bayan. Lalo na sasabihin nyo pa, tuturuan nyo kami mga senador kung paano maging senador. Hindi po kami marunong magmura ng mga PI words, hindi po kami marunong magmura ng Panginoon, hindi po kami marunong magmura ng Santo Papa, at hindi kami marunong manghalay ng mga kababaihan. Kaya wala ho kayong maituturo sa amin. Nasasabihin nyo pa, pati katawan ko, pati katawan ni Ping Lacson, at pati si Senator Dillon, pagbibintangan nyo ng kauna-una, let me tell you that the refuge of the scoundrel is always using ad hominem. Baka hindi nyo naintindihan yung ad hominem na may mercenal kayo. Panggap na isang bayani at binola nyo ang tao at ngayon napapatunayan na kayo ay talagang kapatid na magnanakaw, sinungaling kayo sapagkat kayo ay nagtatago ng mga nagwawalangya sa bayan na nahihirapan ang mga tao natin dito sa bansa. Kaya nakita nyo na lustay ang pera at ito ay napapatunayan natin. Kaya lumalakas. Kasama ninyo, kapatid ninyo, itong mga Dargani na nagkaroon ng magagandang kotse, nilirigaluhan ng kapatid ng mga 25 million na sasakyan at nakakarenta ng mga 2.5 million pesos na Learjet. Diyan pa niya pinadaan sa Davao, parang sinasabi niya rito na kami ay protektado ng Pangulo. Sagutin niyo yan, sinasabi natin yan. Dahil hindi naman kayo aharap dito sapagkat mabibisto ang inyong mga ngalangala pagka kayo ay aharap dito sa Senado. Kailan ko aking gusto sabihin, hindi po ako bumababa sa gutter sa ginagawa niyo. Sapagkat kayo ay nasa gutter, hindi kami bababa. Kayo, pareho tayong may sinumpaan, gamitin nyo yung sinumpaan. At ang sasabihin ko, how dare you again ask for the vote of the Filipino people when you failed them? Pinangako nyo yung West Philippine Sea, you did not do it. Sabi nyo pa, magkakaroon kayo ng jet ski na pupunta kayo doon. Pinangako nyo na mauubos yung drugs. Maraming naubos, puro pawang mga mahihirap na walang mahawakan na hanap buhay dahil kulang kayo maghanap ng hanap buhay. Humawak sila sa patalim, nagtutulak sila ng shabu, sila ang pinapatay, pero yung mga malalaki ay wala nangyari at sila ay tumatawa all the way to the bank. 3 to 6 months ang sabi nyo matatapos ang droga, hindi nyo rin natapos. So do not lecture us about kayo ay mas magaling na tao kaysa sa mga senador. Ang pinakabaliit na tao, mas magaling sa inyo sa prinsipyo. Kapag tila nakalimutan na ninyo ang prinsipyo na tinulok siguro sa inyo ng inyong mga magulang. Nakakaawa kayo sapagkat talagang pinapakita nyo na hindi kayo karapat-dapat maging Pangulo ng Pilipinas. And so today, ladies and gentlemen, we will continue to proceed with the hearing, among other things, and we will continue till hell freezes over. Sapagkat, ano ba yung title? Ako po ay naging 12 taon na, magsi-12 taon na po ako nagsenador. Ako po ay naging pinakabatang delegado. Pinapangako nyo sa tao, ipapatalo nyo ako. So be it. Hindi po ako gahaman sa pwesto. Sapagkat ako po nagsilbi ng matino sa Subic at pinipilit yun nagkaroon ng kalokohan sa Subic. Ako po nagdala ng FedEx dito, Coastal Petroleum, Enron. Marami po tayong trabaho na nakalap kayo. Hindi nyo maipakita kung anong trabaho na gawa ninyo. Ako rin po nagpalakas sa turismo na ngayon, Wow Philippines, na walang ginastos ang gobyerno doon sa Wow Philippines kundi yung mga collaterals. Pero yung pag-create ng Wow Philippines, Wow Sulu, Wow Salmar, Wow Sorsogon, Watch Our Whales, pati lahat po yan ay nagawa natin. Wala akong dapat ikahiya. Kayo, wala akong nakitang matinong ginawa nyo, kundi pagmumura, yun lang ho ang ginagawa ko. Sumasagot lang ako, Mr. President. And today, I just want to continue now with the hearing, which we will not stop in spite of your low-level tactics na talagang wala kayong ginawa kundi magmura at siraan ang mga kapwa ninyo sapagkat wala kayong maipakita na nagawa nyo matino dito sa bayan. I'm sorry, yung mga naniniwala sa inyo, buksan nyo ang mga mata ninyo. We're heading for elections this year at I hope you vote for the right people, people who will really help our country sapagkat ngayon, kulelat na naman tayo sa COVID. Tama ba yan, mga kasama? Kulelat tayo. At meron pang isang sinasabi dito na sinasabi na ang Pilipinas daw po ang numero 1 o number 1 sa buong mundo sa nangutang sa World Bank. Puro utang na lang tayo. Kaya siguro sa galit nyo, sinasabi nga ni Neftali Gonzales ninyo, nung araw, utang ina na lamang ang bayan natin. Hindi putang ina na sinasabi nyo. Utang ina na lang. Kaliwat kanan ang ginagamit nyo. Dinadagdagan nyo pa ng P, Mr. President. And so today, we continue on and say, na sinasabi nga dito, the Philippines is the top borrower of COVID loans but ranks last in pandemic response. Mabuti na lang, meron kayong mga General Galvez na tumatahimik na lang at nakikita niya ang tulong namin sa kanila. At pati mga cabinet member niyo, sinasabi ang tulong namin malaki. Pero ayaw niyong tingnan, sinasara niyo yung mata ninyo sapagkat pinaniniwalaan niyo lang yung gusto niyong paniwalaan. Kaya ngayon mga kasama, itutuloy na po natin. Unahin ko lang po kaagad ating mga senador. Pero para mabilis po tayo, tatalayin ko lang po kaagad at itong si Jeff Mariano at si Iluminada Serbia. Sebial. Are you there, Mr. Jeff Mariano?
Present po, Mr. Chairman.
Last time, you are the external accountant, right?
Yes po, sir.
Now, tell me, nasaan yung mga papeles na ginamit nyo para mag-report kayo at ipirmahan nyo yung report niyo?
Doon po sa office nila dati, sir. Sir Chairman.
Excuse me?
Doon po sa office nila, sir. Doon po namin kinukuha yung mga invoices, mga supporting docs po.
Oh, bakit sinasabi mo last time, listahan lang ang nakuha nyo? Nakita nyo ba yung mga dokumentong yan? Nakita mo ba yung Tiger Field?
Yes po.
Oh, ngayon, yes. Ano sinabi mo doon sa Tiger Field? Kasama ba yun sa report mo?
Sa FS po ba, Sir Chairman? Or sa books po. Nasa
Ano?
books po yun. Nasa books po yun, Mr. Chairman.
Last time, hindi ka makasagot. Ngayon, sumasagot ka. So, nandun sa books yung Tiger Phil. Magkano binayad sa Tiger Phil?
Sir, yung books po na-request po namin pero hindi pa po hindi pa po kami nabibigyan ng copy.
Wala kang kopya? Pwede ba yon? Ikaw ang accountant, Mr. Abrera, pwede ba yon? Wala siyang kopya?
Mr. Chairman, normally dapat po meron silang backup file saka working papers sa mga ginagawa po nila, lalo na sa draft ng financial statements, Mr. Chairman.
Under the Philippine Accountancy Act of 2004, hindi ba totoo na all working papers, schedules, and memoranda made by a certified public accountant and his staff, yung kanyang mga papeles in the course of an examination, including those prepared and submitted by the client, incident to or in the course of an examination by such CPA, except reports submitted by a certified public accountant or client, shall be treated confidential, privileged, and remain the property of such certified public accountant. Alam mo yon, hindi ba, Mr. Jeff Mariano?
Yes po, Mr. Chairman.
Bakit sasabihin mo wala kang kopya ngayon? I am tired of people who lie. You are dangerously skirting contempt now. Ano nakita mo?
Yung mga supporting documents po, Mr. Chairman.
Nasaan yun? Ipakita mo sa amin.
Sir, pag sa bookkeeping po kasi, sa amin po, pupunta lang po kami sa opisina ng kliyente, hiramin po namin yung mga records nila, and then isusulat po namin dun sa mga manual books. And then, ibabalik din po namin lahat sa kanila before po kami umalis sa opisina nila.
Paano mangyayari doon? Wala ka maipakita. Di ikaw ngayon ang nakabilad, di ba? Tama ba yun, Mr. Abrera? Siya nakabilad ngayon dahil nakayon sa accountancy law. Dapat may papel siya na hawak and remain the property of such certified public accountant.
Mr. Chairman, clarify lang po kung sila Mr. Mariano din po yung nag-prepare ng summary list of purchases kasi doon po wala si Tiger Phil, Mr. Chairman.
Kayo ba, Mr. Jeff Mariano, ang nag-prepare ng tax returns at summary list of sales and purchases?
Starting ano lang po, Mr. Chairman.
Anong ano lang? Yes or no?
Starting October 1 po kami yung nag-prepare, Mr. Chairman.
For the taxable year?
October 1, 2020
Anong
po.
taxable year?
2020,
Anong taxable year?
2020, Mr. Chairman.
2020. So kasama doon yung April, May, June, di ba?
Hindi po.
O, sino nag-prepare doon?
Hindi ko
Siyempre,
po alam.
papasok ka, tatanungin mo sino nag-prepare ng mga papeles na yan. Atras ka na nga atras, mahuhuli ka rin. Go ahead.
Hindi ko na po naabutan, Mr. Chairman, yung naunang accountant sa amin.
Hindi ko tinatanong kung naabutan mo. Siyempre, magtatanong ka, bakit wala itong mga papeles na ito? Do not participate in the crime of these people.
Yes po. Sir, pag sa client po kasi, ang engagements po namin is prospective. So, hindi po namin kino-cover yung backlogs.
E paano ka makakapagsabit ng income tax return? Income tax returns hanggang October lang? Hindi pwede yun. Pag nagsabit ka, full, di ba? Pipirma ng kliyente mo pagtapos mo pinirmahan. Tama o hindi?
Tama po.
Oh. So huwag yung papeles na ginawa mo.
Hindi lang po. Ang ibig ko pong sabihin, Mr. Chairman, yung backlog bookkeeping po, hindi po namin siya kino-cover.
Huwag mo kami paikutin. Kayo ang pumirma. Tama? Sabi mo kanina, ikaw ang pumirma. Kayo, yung kumpanya nyo.
Hindi po, wala po kami pinipirmahan, Mr. Chairman.
Kayo ang nag-prepare
Kami po
nung tax returns at summary list of sales. Eh para kayo ay safe, dapat meron kang kopya.
Pag manual po kasi, Mr. Chairman, yung environment ng isang kumpanya. So ano po ito, talagang paper-based po silang lahat, no?
Ganun ba kayo kahirap na sasabihin nyo manual? Ang binili nito, ang binenta at kinita ng Pharmally sa kapalit ng kanilang pagsusupply, umaabot between 9 billion, kung di ako nagkakamali. Papayag ka na manual yun? Di ka ba natatakot sa dami ng binayad sa kanilang gobyerno? Papayag ka na manual lang?
Kung manual or electronic po kasi, Mr. Chairman, magdedepende pa rin po yun sa management kung ano po yung gusto niya. Kumbaga,
So ang sinasabi mo, may depekto talaga ay yung management.
hindi naman po, sir. I mean, case to
O ano
case
pala
po
ibig
kasi.
mo sabihin?
I
Ano
mean,
ibig
sir,
mo
yung-
sabihin? Walang may
Ah,
pakasalanan?
Hindi naman po. Hindi naman po sa ganun.
O ano pala sa ganun?
Ibig ko pong sabihin, sir, yung choice po kasi kung magmamanual lang ang isang kumpanya or paperless is nasa nasa kanila po yun kung ano po yung pipiliin nila.
Itatanggapin nyo? Ganun kayo kasayad sa pera? Magkano
Hindi
binayad
po,
sa inyo?
25 po.
25,000? O 25 million?
Mura naman.
1,000 lang po, Mr. Chairman.
Eh,
1,000? Mr. Cabrera, you've been an accountant for a long time. You have a very big, not a very big one, but certainly a credible one. Tama ba yun? 25,000 for such a big amount and transaction?
Mr. Chairman, since ang sabi ni Mr. Mariano is bookkeeper lang po sila, that's possible, Mr. Chairman. Yun po yung within the range of the professional fees being paid.
All right, but can you just tell us and help us how we can proceed with this gentleman who seems to be changing his answers and limiting the scope of the inquiry when he prepared? When you prepare a tax return, does it cover October only to December?
Well, Mr. Chairman,
So, mga
normally po
kababayan,
kasi,
itong
lalo
si
na sabi ni
Presidente
Mr. Mariano in the
Duterte,
previous
nire-
hearings na sila
yan?
din po yung nag-draft ng FS. Siyempre po dapat nakita din po niya yung previous months. And according din kay Mr. Mariano, nakita niya or familiar siya kay Tiger Phil. Pero si Tiger Phil po, Mr. Chairman, is March and April po nag-supply, Mr. Chairman.
That's correct. Pero nakita niya yung Tiger Phil, sabi niya kaagad, di ba? Ngayong hapon na ito, sinabi mo, nakita mo yung Tiger Phil, correct, Mr. Mariano?
Yes po. I recall po, sir, yung company na yun.
Now you recall, I asked you, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I or somebody else asked you about that. The previous hearing.
Apo, yes po.
Ano yung opo?
Natanong din po yan sa previous hearings.
Ano
Mr.
sagot
Chairman.
mo? Tingnan nyo nga yung TSN.
I recall po, sir, na ang sagot ko po that time is familiar po ako dun sa name na Tiger Phil.
Saan nakalagay yun? Nakalagay dyan, hindi po kami nag-duplicate. Kumbaga, punta lang po kami doon, nag-record, and then when the day is done, everything is left in po sa premises. Ganun ba yan?
Yes po.
Ha? Totoo yun?
Yes po, sir, yun po yung, ganun po kasi yung process namin, sir. So,
Alam ko hindi kayo employee, pero kayo ang magpe-prepare para ipa-file nila sa BIR, correct?
correct po.
Is there any liability on their part for filing in an accurate tax return, Mr. Abrera?
Mr. Chairman, kasi po outsourced bookkeeper po sila. Wala po kasi wala po tayong regulations na nagsasanction or nagsasabing may liability po sila. Since ang pumipirma po is management po at hindi rin din po sila auditor, Mr. Chairman. Ang gusto ko lang linawin, Mr. Chairman, if I may be allowed, Mr. Chairman, can I present this previous slide? Nung previous hearings po kasi, Mr. Chairman, we established based on the submission of BIR na may 3.4 billion unsupported purchases, Mr. Chairman. Ang gusto ko lang pong i-reiterate, pagka po hinimay natin or binreakdown natin yung 3.4 billion, ay, wala yung slide. Pagka na-reiterate po natin yung 3.4, pag binreakdown po natin yung 3.4 billion purchases, unsupported purchases, Mr. Chairman. So 7.2 billion po yung kinlaim nila sa audited FS. 3.8 billion po yung galing sa BIR based po to sa summary list of purchases and importations na partly na record or na submit din nila Mr. Mariano. Pero pag hinimay po natin yung 3.8 billion, Mr. Chairman, 2.9 billion purchases kay Evermore galing na first time natin narinig nung nag-submit na si BIR ng summary list of purchases, Mr. Chairman. Then 273 million kay Acme Pinnacle. Then 613 million importations per summary list of importation na wala pa rin po kaming nare-receive na records or reports from Bureau of Customs, Mr. Chairman. Then unrelated expenses na po yung balanse doon sa summary list of purchases, at yung pinakamalaki nga po doon sa unrelated sa inventory, yung 10.9 million luxury car. Pagka po sinabing unrelated, hindi naman po kasi sila nagbebenta ng kotse, so hindi po inventaryo yung luxury car. But of course, dahil kinlaim nila for VAT purposes, nakasama po siya dun sa summary list of purchases. Gusto ko lang po i-reiterate, Mr. Chairman, si Tiger Phil, pati po si Royal Cargo, wala po sa submission sa BIR. Wala po sila sa summary list of purchases. So, in short po, yung 3.4 billion unsupported purchases, until now, Mr. Chairman, based sa mga documents po na nasubmit sa Senate at na-review po namin, wala pa rin po kaming makitang basis kung saan po nanggaling yung 3.4 billion purchases. Nung na-review po namin yung submission ni Royal Cargo, gusto ko lang din po i-reiterate na April 2020 po, nagkaroon ng contract si Royal Cargo kay Pharmally. Ang initial natanggap nila, na-deliver sa warehouse nila, 2 boxes of extraction kit noong July 8, 2020. Ibig sabihin po, mula nung nagsimulang magkaroon ng delivery, hindi pa po involved si Royal Cargo. Kasi tumanggap siya ng inventaryo mula kay Pharmally, July 8 lang po. At nung taxable year 2020, Mr. Chairman, 614 units lamang po ang na-deliver ni Royal Cargo. At nanatili po yung 6,568 sa kanilang inventaryo. I-reiterate ko lamang po, Mr. Chairman, na sa inventaryong tinutukoy natin, wala po ditong facial mask or shield or kahit anong PPE. Ito po ay puro extraction kits or testing kits lang po, Mr. Chairman. So, nananatili pa rin pong unknown or unsupported yung purchases at yung delivery po ng mga cost of sales na naka-report po sa audited financial statements. Pagka hinimay po natin, pag binangga po namin sa delivery receipts na nanggaling kay Pharmally at sa record ni PS-DBM, Mr. Chairman, sa record po ni PS-DBM, meron po 8.8 billion. May 8.8 billion po na total delivery si Pharmally kay PS-DBM. Pero po, wala pong disclosure yung 4.4 billion na delivery ng mask and PPE. I-reiterate ko lang, Mr. Chairman, wala pa po si Royal Cargo dito. So walang warehouse, walang delivery records yung 4.4 billion base po dun sa mga dokumento na nasubmit po sa amin for review. So dun po sa balanse, kung 8.8 billion po yung total 8.8 billion worth yung total deliveries ni Pharmally kay PS-DBM, Mr. Chairman, yung 4.4 billion ay facial mask and PPE, yung balanse po ay testing kits na po, na 4.4 billion din. So 50-50 po yung na-deliver kay Pharmally. Kalahati po nung 8.8 billion facial mask and PPE, yung kalahati po na 4.4 billion ay testing kits. Pero po, wala pong disclosure yung 2.1 billion. So ibig sabihin po, yung May to June na wala pa po si Royal Cargo, wala po tayong record or kahit anong dokumento na na-review regarding dun sa kung ito po ba ay inventaryo na at saan po nakalagay yung inventaryo at paano po na-deliver kasi po wala pong disclosure sa warehousing and delivery. Ulitin ko po, pumasok po si Royal Cargo April 22 at July 8 po nagsimulang magkaroon ng July 8 po na unang tumanggap ng inventaryo si Royal Cargo. So lumalabas, Mr. Chairman, yung 2.3 billion, nandun na si Royal Cargo. Pero po, 27,043 units po yung naging delivery from July to November, Mr. Chairman. Pero kay Royal Cargo po, sa record po na sinabit ni Royal Cargo, 614 units lamang po yung na-deliver ni Royal Cargo. Pero ang na-deliver po ni Pharmally kay PS-DBM nasa 27,043 units or 2.3 billion worth. So ibig sabihin po, Mr. Chairman, na natiling hindi pa rin po malinaw, undisclosed pa rin po, unknown pa rin po yung records ng warehousing at delivery ng mga facial mask, PPE at iba pang testing kits. Kung ang pagbabasihan lamang po natin si Royal Cargo. Si Royal Cargo na wala din po sa summary list of purchases or records ni Pharmally based on BIR submission, Mr. Chairman. Ngayon, para lang po matapos po yung issue dun sa undisclosed financing, may undisclosed financing kay Pharmally and doon sa mga matrices na pinresent niyo po, gusto ko lamang pong i-reiterate na yung mga unknown, yung mga known personalities na po, pag binangga po namin yung kanilang declared income sa kanilang total investment, hindi po talaga na undisclosed pa rin po o hindi pa rin po ma-determine or ma-establish yung kanilang financial capacity or source of income, Mr. Chairman. From 1.5 billion.
Ray, Mr. Abrea, can you go to that later? I just want to finish
po.
this matter of the possibility. You know what the possibility is looming since hindi ma-account yung ikamo 2.3 billion. Ano ba yan? Can you go back to the previous
3.4 billion po. First slide please. 3.4 billion.
Could that be possible na
purchases,
walang
Mr. Chairman.
dumating talaga? Na
Wala po
post
kaming
delivery
record,
yun? Is
Mr.
that
Chairman.
possible? Sorry?
Wala po kaming na-reviewing documents or record, Mr. Chairman.
So if there is none, and Royal Cargo is their warehouse and they only accepted in July, is there a possibility that there were no actual stocks delivered? In
Based
fact,
on documents, Mr.
in
Chairman.
fact, Tiger Philippines, let me finish. Tiger Philippines came up and they supplied from the Philippines, right? There were
Yes,
no
Mr.
importation. So lumalabas talaga na maaaring wala talagang dumating at pinakit na lang yung pera. Is that a possibility?
Based on documents, Mr. Chairman, yes po. Wala pong records.
Walang record and therefore walang na-deliver. So pag hindi pinakita yan, would I be well within our conclusion na naloko talaga ang bansa, na talaga may ghost deliveries dahil ayaw naman nila magsalita. Lumalabas, pinapahanal natin yung mga libro. Sabi nga nung isang kapitbahay ko, pagbaba ko sa elevator kanina, kasama ko yung mga staff, ang sabi sa amin, hindi nyo na makikita yan, tinatago nila yan dahil mabibiso talaga, ghost deliveries yan. Would that be a correct conclusion? It would appear.
Possible, Mr. Chairman, pag wala pong documents, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, and therefore, the BIR can go after them, right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Well, yan ang problema. And what would be, ito si Mr. Mariano, hindi ako makapaniwala na bookkeeper, kahit na bookkeeper ka, nakakalito na eh. Ano ba ang role ni Illuminada? Ano siya? Bookkeeper ba siya? Internal?
Auditor, Mr.
External
Chairman.
ba? Ha?
External auditor po si Ms. Ebial, Mr. Chairman.
So pumipirma na lang sila. Ganoon rin si pumipirma lang sila. Binayaran si Miss Sabial ng 4,000. Binayaran itong si Jeff Mariano ng 25,000. I'm sorry, the profession is respected. Pero siguro, pumayag na lang sila, binabayaran sila. That's income without really inspecting the way we have inspected here. Would that be correct?
Based on the claims naman,
Sorry?
based on the claims naman, admission naman po ni Ms. Ebial, hindi po niya nakita lahat ng records, Mr. Chairman.
Gano'n rin na sinasabi ngayon. Hindi nakita ni Sabial yung records, hindi rin nakita ng nitong si Joe Mariano, Jeff Mariano, yung records. Is that correct, Jeff?
Sir, nakita ko po yung mga supporting docs, pero ang sinabi ko lang po, sir, yung hindi po na ni-request na po namin yung records pero hindi pa naibibigay sa amin.
So you're still expecting ibibigay sa inyo?
Kasi sir, nasabina rin po sa akin. I think last month po, napadala po ako ng Sabina Juices Tecum to provide po yung supporting docs. Is ni-request ko lang din po sa kliyente. So yes, with expectation.
Kanino mo ni-request?
Kay Sir Mohit po. Via email po, Mr.
Mohit.
Chairman.
So hindi ka sinasagot ni Mohit.
Wala pong feedback, sir.
Gano'ng katagal na yon?
I think last month po ata, sir, mga
Hindi nga
I think
sinagot
early
sa
November.
Siguruhin mo.
Um,
Padala mo yung sulat, pinadala mo sa kanila dito. I need to get the copy of that letter. Do you
yes
have
po,
it
Mr.
there?
Chairman.
Do you have it?
It's in the email po, Mr. Sir. Send ko po kay kay Sir Kimbo. Kay Attorney Kimbo po.
You have your computer there. Can you look at it now?
Sige po.
We're not gonna stop here. In the meantime, Mr. Rabiera, are there any other observations?
Mr. Chairman, regarding lang po dun sa still undisclosed financing, Mr. Chairman, last 2 slides na po. Bali, Mr. Chairman, since marami na pong companies yung na-mention as initially possible source ng financing ni Pharmally, so binangga lang po namin yung dineclare nilang income from 2016 to 2020 dun po sa mga common personalities na nababanggit na versus dun sa kanilang total investments sa mga companies na mention din po. So hindi pa rin po namin na-establish yung kanilang source of financing or financial capacity to make the investment, Mr. Chairman. Then, nung tinignan din po namin yung yung mga common directors or investors ng iba't ibang kumpanya.
Mr. Brea, let me just stop you there. Ibig sabihin, hindi nyo nakita, hindi magbalanse yung kanilang accumulated income from 2016 to 2020 katulad ni Michael Yang Hong Min, 1.5 million ang kanyang dineklara, pero ang kanyang investment sa mga kumpanya ay 52,125,000. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
So, lalo na si Miss Nono Lim, Rose Nono Lim, 1,361,000 ang kanyang accumulated income na lumabas ang total investment niya ay 136.353 million, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. 1% lang po nung kanyang investment.
Alright. So lumalabas, wala tayong information kay Moy Dargani, Lincoln Ong, Twinkle Dargani. Hindi ba dapat inuukil-kil na yan ng BIR? Lalo na pag nakikinig ang presidente, pupupok na sa lamesa dapat yan. Ba't hindi nyo hinuhuli yan? Di ba that's a natural reaction? Higipit ang gobyerno. Number 1 tayong umuutang sa pandemic. Di ba pupupok na lamesa ang presidente, sasabihin sa BIR, ba't hindi nyo inuukil-kil yan at malaman natin? Would that be a natural reaction, sir?
To find out the source, Mr. Chairman, yes.
Yes. Even I can ask anybody among there, talagang hindi nila mapapaliwanag yan. So, lumalabas talaga na we can conclude that talaga may ghost deliveries or we can conclude that they're money laundering dahil hindi nila may paliwanag yan. Sinasabi sa akin itong mga ito na kung saan na raw ako sumuot ang Blue Ribbon. Talagang ganun ang Blue Ribbon. We're not a fishing expedition. Kung ano ang pinakita, nakakoneksyon kayo, hahanapin natin yan because ang susi rito, paano kayo nakapag-supply, yun ang unang-una, paano kayo nakapag-supply ng ganyan kalalaking halaga na hindi nyo maipakita kung saan ang galing at lumabas, hindi ayaw pakita ni Michael Yang yung kanyang pera, ayaw niya pakita rin nila nung iba na kung saan ang galing yung pera, sila Mohit Gargani, ayaw nila pakita. Basta nagkaroon lang sila ng pera. Ang totoo niyan, mamaya tatanungin ko ito, Mohit Gargani, hindi ba pareho kayo nitong si Lincoln Ong na empleyado ni Michael Yang? Tama? Mr. Mohit?
Mr. Chairman, I just get orders from Mr. Link as a friend. If he would give me any projects, I would try to work with him, but I never was an employee of Michael Yang.
But you presented yourself as according to Senator Taveras, correct? That you were associated with Mr. Michael Yang, with this office of the economic advisor. Lumabas ata yan doon sa iyong pinalabas sa iyong LinkedIn, correct? Never mind, it's already in the record.
As mentioned in the last hearing when that was brought up, I said naman po na that, I assumed that was my I got the job, but I did not make it, and I took down that position as well.
Mohit, where did you go to school?
Enderon po.
Enderon. That is run by a classmate of mine, President Gadot Rodriguez. Was he your president when you were there?
I remember
He was a valedictorian.
I believe
It's a good school.
The president was Dean Ed Rodriguez. I'm not sure if he's the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very smart man. Very respected man of our class. Nilabas mo yan, what are we supposed to expect? Katulad ni Lincoln, hindi niya sinasabi, pala, interpreter siya, pero maganda yung kanyang bahay, pareho tayong tinitirahan eh. Di ba? Magaganda yung kotse ni Lincoln, tatlo-tatlo na magaganda, 2 Porsche at saka isang Land Cruiser ba? O Range Rover? Lincoln, tama ba ako?
Lexus po.
Lexus, I'm sorry. Hindi ako sanay sa mga gandang kotse. Lexus. Hindi pa ako nakasakay sa Lexus. I think minsan lang ata. Tapos itong Porsche, 2. Tapos sasabihin mo, interpreter ka ni Michael Yang. Ikaw ang nagsuplong kay Michael Yang. Ikaw ang una nagsabi na si Michael Yang ay hiningi mo ng tulong. Siya nagpapakilala sa'yo sa mga supplier. Tama? Sinagot mo na yan. Yung sinasagutin. So talagang nagkakaduda kami. Masisisi niyo ba kami? Ayaw naman namin kayong kinukulong eh. Ayaw nagkukulong ng tao. Pero kung kayo ayaw niyo mag-cooperate, huwag ko sa inyo, mag-cooperate na kayo sapagkat hindi kayo mag-cooperate, ang dami niyo ng huli dito na sinabi ninyo na mahuhuli kayo, and then kayo ang lalabas. No? Kaya hindi ko bibitawan ito hanggang hindi gagalaw ang mga kinaukulan ng gobyerno na dapat nag-file na ng kaso nung lumabas yung mga sinasabi nyo dyan. At dapat iniimbestiga na ako, saan napunta yung sinasabi natin dito. Ba't ang Blue Ribbon pa ang maghahanap na hindi nag-deliver, hindi may palawanag ng mga accountant o ng bookkeeper kung saan napunta. At talaga kung ikaw ang presidente, magagalit ka, bakit hindi nyo hinuhuli yan, right? So hindi bale. So ano lumalabas, Mr. Jeff Mariano, wala kang kasalanan. Kung ano na ang sinubo sa'yo, parang computer ng araw, garbage in, garbage out. Yun ang iyong testimony, correct?
Yes po. Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Yes po, Mr.
What do
Chairman.
you say about that, Mr. Dargani? Lisa, can I just Senator Antiveros?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
I will call you. Wait, I just want to make sure that we get this done. What do you say about that, Mr. Dargani? You refuse to give them the records. Why? Why do you refuse to give them the records? Your own bookkeeper.
I haven't seen the email of Mr. Jeff Mariano, sir.
You've not seen the email. Again, that's evasive. You have records in your computer and you can see that, I'm sure. Lincoln Ong, you follow the orders according to you, Mr. Dargani. Whatever Lincoln Ong says, you follow. And Lincoln Ong is the interpreter of Michael Yang. And if you follow the orders of an interpreter of Michael Yang, then you're working for Mr. Ong and Mr. Michael Yang. Would I be a failure if I conclude that? How can you follow Lincoln Ong? What's the answer, Mr. Dargani?
I don't take orders from Mr. Lincoln Ong and Mr. Michael Yang, sir.
Well, follow because he is your friend. That's the ostensible reason you follow him. When I asked you that question just a few minutes ago, and then you now you deny that it didn't work for Michael Yang, even if you advertise him in your LinkedIn, and now you're saying, how can I believe you, Michael Ong? I'm not going to be argumentative with you. I think the record will speak for itself already. I'm done with that. All right. Now, si Gerald Cruz po ay Chief Financial Officer sa kumpanya ng girlfriend mo na si Sofia. Ha? Sofia Custodio. Where is your girlfriend, Mr. Gargani? You're so generous. You made her a company across your office in the other building in the same area. Correct?
Yes, that's where the office was, Mr. Chairman.
Sofia, right? Where is Sofia now?
I don't know, Mr. Chairman.
Is she okay at least?
I really don't know.
Or you just fooling with her? Don't you care? You gave her a corporation along with Miss Mago, sinama mo sila sa korporasyon, tapos na yun, hindi mo alam. That's very ungentlemanly of you. You were cavalier, you were able to give her, parang ibang mga tao dyan na walang respeto sa kababayan, bibigyan ng air condition para maging girlfriend, pag nag-break na, babawiin pa yung air condition. Ganun ka ba? What is the answer to Miss Sophie? We have been looking for her as well. Mr. Kimbo, I need to know where we can find Gerald Cruz. Normally, the NBI should help us. I need to know where Jason Uzun is. I need to know where the girlfriend of who is the beneficiary. I want to know if she paid taxes on the gift given to her by Mr. Dargani. So I need to for you to to execute a subpoena for these people. We already issued a subpoena, if I'm not mistaken. Mr. Kimbo? Mr. Kimbo? Somebody call. Okay, we'll grab Mr. Kimbo later on, but that is the order of the chairman. I will now go to Senator Ontiveros. Do you have a question pursuant to the in connection with these questions that this representation is asked? Because I don't want to lose them. If it is in connection, I would like to ask your help. If it is not in connection, we might lose the point. I don't want to lose the point.
Yeah, of course, Mr. Chairman, I do not either. These are follow-up questions to the
Please go ahead.
posed by the chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a follow-up to Mr. Dargani. Mr. Dargani, whether or not nabasa nyo na yung email ni Mr. Mariano, still there was something even more significant that just happened. Hindi ba, Mr. Dargani, in the last hearing, you requested the chairman na payagan kayo ni Mr. Ong na makapag-usap to consult with each other? Isn't that correct, Mr. Dargani?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, and then sir, sabi nyo, mag-uusap kayo ni Mr. Ong, magkukonsulta kayo tungkol dun sa mga kahon, dun sa mga dokumento na matagal nang hinihingi ng komiteng ito, both the Minority Leader Sen Frank, the chairman himself, all of us. Hindi ba that was the purpose, one of the purposes ng pag-uusap at pagkonsulta nyo ni Mr. Ong, Mr. Dargani, to procure those boxes and documents?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
And then, pumayag po yung chairman namin. I was very glad at that point, Mr. Dargani, kasi akala ko this would finally be a break na in the inquiry, na finally makuha namin, mapag-aralan ni Mr. Abrea yung kompleto mga dokumento, we would really be able to move forward. So, ano pong nangyari, Mr. Dargani? Nakapag-usap nga ba kayo? Nakapag-konsulta ba kayo ni Mr. Ong?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Nakapag-usap po kami ni Mr. Ong.
Napag-usapan nyo ba yung pagkuha ng mga kahon at yung mga dokumento?
We both don't know where it's kept because, as mentioned, I left in August and he got detained in September and we lost our employees as well. So we did not know where to start. So the next day, I informed the OSAA that I would rather just stay put kasi ayaw ko sila pasyalan.
Well, unfortunately, ganun yung naging impression nila. Si General Samonte is our Senate Sergeant at Arms. And he placed himself and his office at the disposal of the committee of the chairman para nga samahan kayo ni Mr. Ong to procure those boxes and documents. Kasi kung hindi yun ang kung hindi yun ang pag-uusapan nyo ni Mr. Ong, so bakit nyo pa ni-request, Mr. Dargani? Bakit nyo pa ni-request kay chairman na makapag-usap kayo? What was the subject and what was the purpose? Mr. Dargani.
To try and see if he has any recollection of where the boxes are.
Kaya lang, Mr. Dargani, nung last hearing pa lang, parehong sinabi rin ni Mr. Ong, if I remember correctly, parehong sagot nyo sa komite, hindi nyo alam. And I remember my colleague in the minority, Sen Kiko, already warned na baka ganito yung outcome na kung hindi mo alam, Mr. Dargani, kung hindi alam, di umano rin ni Mr. Ong, yung whereabouts ng mga kahon at dokumento. So parang para pa na mag-usap kayo, magkokonsultahan. And yet the chairman was very, very liberal about it. Pumayag siyang makapag-usap kayo. I don't know, did you really exert all efforts between the two of you ni Mr. Ong to identify kung na kanino yung mga kahon at papeles? Is it really possible, Mr. Dargani, na ang Pharmally na nakapag-contract ng napakalalaking mga kontrata that you don't even know where your documents and boxes are? Mr. Dargani.
I really don't know. I'm sorry.
Alam nyo, I'm more sorry, Mr. Dargani. Kasi nung nabasa ko po sa media na kayo ni Mr. Ong ay sabi nung hepe ng Pasay City Jail, kayo ay 10 araw hanggang 2 linggo sa quarantine area muna bago kayo ililipat sa common area. I thought na, well, yung 2 linggong iyon, that's your window right now to show cooperation and good faith with the committee. Sinabi din yon nung nakaraang hearing ni Chairman, ni na Sen Frank at Sen Kiko that you have created this trouble for yourselves pero yung kapalaran nyo is in your hands also. Napaka-resonable ng matagal nang hinihingi ng komite sa inyo yung mga kahon at saka yung mga dokumento. And I don't think you can blame us for feeling na ano ba naman, ginagawa nyo ba kaming hindi intelihente dito sa komiteng ito? Are you aware, Mr. Dargani, that you have that 2-week window to produce the documents?
I still don't know where to find it.
But are you aware of the 2-week window na after quarantine, depende sa desisyon ng chair? I mean, you know, if you really make a change in the way you have been relating with the committee, baka hindi matuloy yung sinabi ni Pasay City Chief na from quarantine, ililipat na kayo sa common area. Are you aware of that?
I was just made aware now po.
Okay. That's, you know, nasa lahat ng media. Wouldn't you rather na magdesisyon ang komite through the chair na sa halip na matuloy kayo dun sa common area na may ibang mas maayos siguro kayong patutunguhan? Kung mas maayos din ang pagtrato nyo sa komite, wouldn't you rather something better than yung inevitable ngayon na after quarantine, punta na kayo sa common area ng Pasay City Jail? Wouldn't you rather, Mr. Dargani?
I would like to humbly remain silent and choose to refuse to answer. Thank you.
You refuse to answer? Ibig bang sabihin you would rather go to the common area of Pasay City Jail than do something to change yung mga susunod na course of events? Mr. Chairman, I'll just ask that question one last time to Mr. Ong. Mr. Ong, hindi ba mas maigi na baguhin nyo na yung pag-uugali nyo sa komite, ibigay nyo na sa amin yung mga dokumento sa mga kahon, or sabihin nyo na kung sino talaga ang may hawak nun para mapasa kamay na ng komite, ng chairman, mapaaral na kay Mr. Abrea. Kesa naman after 2 weeks, siguradong ililipat na kayo mula sa quarantine papunta sa common area.
Mr. Chairman, Madam Senator, ma'am, napadala na talaga kami sa kulungan eh, ma'am. We are not criminals. Yung mga file na yan, I really don't know kung saan man sila. But since the chairman have a conclusion kanina, siguro filean nila na po na kami kaso kasi nagsasuffer po talaga kami sa kulungan. Hindi naman
And
po
the
kami
whole
kriminal.
The whole committee, Mr. Ong, supports the chairman. Ang sa akin ganito na lang, my last point at this point, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Dargani, naaalala nyo, nung unang ayaw nyong sabihin sa amin, sino yung nag-contract ng Celetar jet flight pa sa inyo. Finally, kasi ayaw nyo talagang sabihin verbally, finally, sinulat nyo sa papel. Binigay nyo kay Attorney Kimbo, ang aming Director General, and he read it into the record. Supposedly, someone named Gary Wong. I really am trying to tell you very strongly, kunin nyo na itong last 10 days to 2-week window na the chairman on behalf of the committee can decide na you are showing good faith to the committee para hindi matuloy yung inevitable ngayon na after quarantine, pupunta kayo sa common area ng Pasay City Jail because imposible naman na yung kumpanya nyo which transacted business to the tune of billions of pesos that you cannot even tell us sino ang may hawak ng dokumento, nasaan yung mga kahon. It just beggars disbelief talaga, no? So, Mr. Dargani, Mr. Ong, talagang I am convincing you, ibigay nyo na sa komite sa pamamagitan ni chairman yung tao na may hawak ng mga dokumentong iyon, yung mga kahon na iyon, para makuha na namin yon at mapag-aralan. Sobrang reasonable ito, hindi ko talaga maintindihan. I can only imagine bakit ang tagal-tagal ninyong nagre-refuse. And now, your own well-being depends on it. And just as my colleagues and the chairman said in the last hearing, nasa kamay po ninyo iyon. Find a way na i-communicate sa amin, sabihin nyo sa amin sinong may hawak, nasaan ang dokumento, so that the committee can take possession of those already. Salamat, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I will get back to Jet Mariano in a while, but I just like to follow up because Lincoln, do you think we want you to be in jail? Do you think we're punishing you?
Mr. Chairman, I'm begging for your mercy. Hindi naman po kami kriminal.
No. It's got nothing to do with that.
Ano po kami sa
Before
kulungan.
we can be merciful, we must be just. You know that.
Iniimbestigahan na
You're
po kami
calling yourself
ng
criminal.
BAR.
That's what you're saying.
Iniimbestigahan
When you ask for telephones, you had telephone connection with your family. You were using the office of the Sergeant at Arms phone, and then they found out that you had a phone smuggled. Isn't that a lie? Isn't that creating another, illicit act? You're so used to violating the law. You have cars. Did you pay taxes on those cars?
Sir, Mr. Chairman, iniimbestigahan na talaga po kami ng
No, I don't
BAR.
care. I'm asking you a direct question. If you have nothing to hide, then you say so. Did you pay documentary stamp taxes? Did you pay VAT?
Binili po yung tulad po ng kayan, binili po yun ng second hand. So I would assume
VAT pa rin yun, di ba?
I would really assume na
Siniguro mo na binayaran ng VAT nun, di ba?
opo kasi kotse po yun ng isang car dealer dito. Hindi naman po yan marerehistro pag hindi nagbayad ng tamang buwis.
That is
Mr.
what you're
Chairman.
saying again. You're living in your own world. We live in a world of rules and regulations of laws. When you say you're a criminal, you may not be a criminal that shoots people or steals from them when they're sleeping, but you are nonetheless going to be treated like a criminal because you're violating the law when you do not answer and you do not produce documents. Were we not kind to you when we said you can have visitation all the time? Were we not kind to you? Yes or no? When
Yes
you
po,
complain-
nakakapag-visit po. Pero,
When you complained, did I not make a decision right away?
opo, nakapag-desisyon po kayo. Pero hindi pa rin po ako nakapagtawag sa lawyer ko. Ang nakapag-usap kami ng lawyer ko nung pinapadala na po kami sa Pasay City Jail, Mr. Chairman.
Because nga, pinayagan kayo, sabi nyo, lalabas kayo, hahanapin niyo yung boxes. Nasa inyo yung boxes. How can you tell me that you are not truthful? That you're truthful when, in fact, sabi nga ni Senator Antiveros, pinalabas na kayo, papayagan kayo lumabas para hindi na nga kayo makulong. Anong ginawa nyo? Pinasyal na naman ninyo kami at saka ang Sergeant at Arms. So, do not try to get awa. Wala kayong makukuhang awa. Before we can be awa, kailangan may katarungan muna.
Mr.
Maybe
Chairman,
you live in a different world.
and then the EAR is really heavily investigating us, Mr. Chairman.
Of course, you don't want us to investigate somebody who took 11 billion pesos? I'll follow you.
Please allow us to cooperate with the investigation.
You're not cooperating. You're not answering. Now, let me leave you for a while. Let me ask Jeff Mariano. Jeff, again, I tell you, hindi ako believe sa mga sagot mo, ha? Tatanungin kita. Sabi mo, nagsimula ka October 2020, correct?
Correct po.
Doon lang kayo nakakuha ng mga papel, correct? Pero paano mo nakita yung Tiger Phil, samantala yung Tiger Phil, sabi nga kaya nga sinabi ko muna, tinanong ko muna si Mr. Ong Yun ang kauna-unahang order nila Hindi nakapag-supply. Tumawag sila kay Tiger Phil. Yun ang nag-supply. O how do you explain that nalaman mo si Tiger Phil?
Sir, tinignan po namin yung para po kasi magawa yung annual FS. Kailangan po yung total numbers for the year.
Sinabi ko sa'yo kanina, papayag ka, kukunin mo yung October. You cannot base it on October to December. Right, Mr. Abrea? You have to base it on the whole 9 years, the whole 12 months. Correct, Mr. Abrea?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Pero paano mo nakita bigla si Juan, pangalawa, unang mali mo yan, pangalawa, dapat meron kayong digitized version. We're now in the world of digital information technology, right?
Yes po.
You should have had a soft copy for between March and April, right?
Kami po, Mr. Chairman, wala po. Kasi nga po,
Why?
Sir, kasi po,
Kung susubain kayo, sabihin sa inyo na kung hindi namin kayo babayaran, anong papakita nyo na nagawa ninyo?
yung mga na-filed pong returns, Mr. Chairman.
Hindi sabi mo, buo ang ipapile ninyo for the whole year Anyway, I think it speaks for itself. The question is answered by your own answer, which is not really accurate, not really to the point. Because how can you get, with the confidence na nakita mo yung kay Tiger Phil, samantalang si Tiger Phil nilabas lang ni Ong doon sa kanyang rabbit hat. Parang kunyari naglabas siya ng biglang palusot. So, all right. Now, sino nagtatanong? Yeah, let me move for a while kay Mr. Elmer Francisco Sarmiento, the President of Royal Cargo. Sir, thank you very much for coming here and good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Chairman.
If I'm not mistaken, Royal Cargo was owned by the Delgados before, is that correct?
No, Your Honor. It is a corporation owned by the Royal family and
Who?
3 other executives like me and 3 others.
But hindi ba original owners predominantly owned by the Delgado family, the son of they're in the cargo business, di ba, handling like my classmate Ricky works before sa Miescor, di ba? Handling
that was the Royal Services Inc., which was a joint venture between Royal Cargo and the Delgado family.
So you worked with them before?
Yes, as part
Yes, I'm just trying to establish that you are not a company na fly by night. You are really in the business. How long have you been in the business, Mr. Sarmiento? I'm talking about Royal Cargo.
We're over 40 years in the business.
Over 40 years. And certainly, you run a tight ship, you run a business on the up and up. You're very careful because warehousing, you have to have a permit from the BIR and from customs. Is that correct, sir?
Indeed, sir.
Sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And therefore, when Mr. Abrea says, and when we look at your books, when we look at the submissions on your part, is it true that you only got supplies from Pharmally in the area of whatchamacallit, ano yan? Test kits. Would that be correct, sir?
Yes, sir. It's mostly COVID-19 test kits.
That's correct. In fact, Ms. Mago said they never had a warehouse before. She didn't even know it was Royal Cargo, if my memory serves correct. And later on, your company's name surfaced. So lumalabas, hindi kompleto. Yung binili nila, mukhang hindi lahat dinala dyan, o di kaya talagang walang binili. Laway lang yung sinasabi nila. Kaya ngayon, hindi nila maipakita, ayaw nila ituro kung saan napunta yung mga PPE'S at saka yung mga face mask. So, walang dineliver sa inyong PPE'S, ano po, Mr. Sarmiento?
Wala po.
Wala rin pong mask. Yun lang talagang test kits, ano po?
Yes, sir.
And in 2020, you only accepted deliveries when?
Yes, sir.
When did you start getting deliveries from them? In 2020?
We started
July?
accepting their inventories on July 8, 2020, Your Honor.
July 8, 2020. And by that time, they had already sold a huge chunk. And I will show you what they sold. I have a timeline that shows what were bought by Pharmally at that time. Correct? And what transpired after July were purchases that they made later on. For example, Pharmally somebody help me here, please. Can we not show this on the table, on the graph? Saan yung Pharmally? Kasi yung original na pinakita ko, nandiyan yun eh. Remember my original one, the one that says how many times Pharmally bought? Kindly give me a minute. Session is suspended for a minute so I can produce that document. Just a moment.
Ay nako mga kabanat, na suspended ng ilang segundo itong hearing ni Senador Gordon dahil nga naghahalongkat pa ng mga dokumento sa Pharmally.
Mr. Sarmiento, I'm showing to you a timeline of the purchases of Pharmally, or rather the supplies delivered by Pharmally allegedly to PS-DBM. Can you see it in your computer, sir?
Not yet, sir.
Not yet, raw.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, they're trying to show it, but in the meantime, on April 6, 2020, they brought an initial 500,000, which was really supplied according to the records, 13.86 million. Ang kinuhanan nila ran, diumano ay yung Tiger Field. And then, a week later, April 14, They got surgical masks again to the tune of 2.4 million quantities. And none of these the first 500,000 quantities were not delivered to you. That's what you're saying, right? The timeline is on the screen. Can you see it now, sir?
Yes, sir. I can see it.
So, walang delivery sa inyo? Yung munang 500,000.
Wala kaming face mask tsaka PPEs.
Correct. I asked you that. I just want to show the committee and the resource persons na ito mga binili ng Pharmally. And then, 6 days later, on April 20, or 6 days from April 14, they got 10 million quantities to the tune of 220 million pesos, sir. Can you see it, sir?
Yes, sir.
Number 3 yan, classification. And then, to be fair, Mr. Ong,
Yes po, Mr. Chairman.
ito yung sinasabi mo dati na si Wang Jae-wang. Tama ba yan?
Wang Jie, yes po, Mr. Chairman.
Kaya mo kinuha yung 220 million na yan, pesos worth.
Wang Jie, yes po.
Mr. Kimbo, I have not seen even a shadow of Wang Jae-wang. Does he exist, Mr. Kimbo?
Your Honor, including in your previous question about Ms. Custodio and Mr. Jason Uson and Mr. Gerald Cruz, we have also the female supplier, supposedly Miss Wei, including that person, Your Honor. We have sent letters to the NBI asking for their assistance in locating them. We have not yet received an update. And as to BID, the update basically was that they cannot work with the near names unless we find real birthdays, because they are not able to search in their computers if only names are supplied. We're still searching for them, Your Honor, up to today.
I would imagine that they could cooperate with us, and I'm making this public appeal because we're talking about chasing shadows claimed by Mr. Ong. So far, they're shadows. And I'm sure we can get a bead on Uson, on Gerald Cruz, because they also have documents that show that they were the ones who got the partly forced park home of Mr. Michael Yang. And they have documents in SEC that show that they are part and parcel of the octopus-like tentacles of the business of Mr. Yang, correct? Mr. Kimbo?
Yes, Your Honor.
So makikita ng NBI. I mean, I've always believed in the NBI. I've never had reason to doubt them. So I make this public appeal upon the NBI that they try to produce these witnesses. Not try, but deliver these witnesses. And I call on the President also, if he really is sincere, na mapalabas ni Presidente ito mga taong ito. So, Wang Jae-wang, Mr. Ong, can you help us here again? Ikaw ang nag-supply ng pangalan. Nasaan niya nakatira?
Mr. Chairman, hindi ko po alam yung exact address niya. And then about do sa spelling ni Wang Jie, I will give Mr. Rudy Kimbo the correct spelling. As for the birthday, I'm sorry, hindi ko rin po alam yung birthday niya, Mr. Chairman.
Ano katagal mo na kilala yan? See, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to believe you. Pero wala kang binibigay eh.
Mr. Chairman, I'm supplying you additional information as much as I can. Sinasabihan niyo po ako.
220 million peso purchase. That's not peanuts. I'd imagine you try to know who Wang Jae-wang is, where he lives, anong negosyo niya, kilala mo yan. Hindi mo alam, wala ka maibigay na information dyan.
I'm trying to give you additional information, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry?
I'm trying to give you additional information. I did not evade or I try to skirt. Gusto ko nga i-correct yung tamang spelling para ma-search na maayos.
Okay, sige. Correct mo na yung spelling. Pero elusive eh. Binibigay mo yung pangalan. Mali pala yung spelling na nakuha ni Mr. Kimbo. Hindi mo naman kino-correct. Kung di ko pinakita yan ngayon, hindi mo pa ba ko-correct? Dapat makita na natin yan. Meron pa tayong hinahanap Yung si Meow Meow, ano yung mga, di ba sila? Ha? Ano na yung mga pangalan? Please produce that. I will ask for that later. So, Mr. Sarmiento, sir, nakita nyo 220 million yan. Kayo, taxpayer rin kayo. Di ba nakakatakot naman yung mga amounts na yan? Saan nila dinala yan? Tapos ito, 2 days later, April 20, and now we're at April 22. Ito na yung test kits. Ito ba yung dineliver sa inyo? 600 million pesos worth of test kits? 8,000 quantities, sir? On April 22. Mr. Sarmiento, can you check your records, please, sir?
We started receiving only on July 8.
So, maaaring hindi dinala ito sa inyo.
This is
Tama.
on July 8.
On July, that's a good 4 months.
I'm not sure whether
July, right? 4 months.
Yes.
Wala sa Royal Cargo, wala sa inyong inventaryo. Hawak ko yung inventaryo nyo eh. Tinatanong ko lang kayo to confirm. And then 3 days, and then 1 day after April 22 or exactly from April 20, umabot na sila ng 1.5 billion. Ito naman yung Fortitude Kit. Wala rin yan sa inyo. 2,000. Wala rin ho yan. Ano po?
Yes, sir.
Wala.
Wala.
Thank you. Thank you. Answer is wala. And then, again on April 23, another 300 million or 3 million test kits. Wala rin sa inyo. Umabot na sila ngayon ng 1.8 billion. Almost 1.9 billion. Wala rin sa inyo dineliver na ganyan. Ano po? April. April.
April.
April.
Malaki po yung order na yan. Wala kaming ganyang kalaking natanggap. And besides, again, repeating what I just said, July 8 pa lang kami na nag-isang tumanggap.
So, panay test kits walang umabot sa inyo. Test kits umabot sa inyo after July na. Tama po ba yan?
Tama po, Sir, July 8.
Salamat po. You're a very cooperative witness and I appreciate it because you come from a good company.
Thank you,
On
sir.
May 4, 2020, may notice of award sila. 11 days, 1 week, and 4 days from April, from the first one. Surgical gown. 10,000 quantities worth 2,880,000. Wala pa rin sa inyo yan.
Wala po, Your Honor.
Wala po. And then another one, 4 days later, after May 4, May 8, 1.9 million. So lahat-lahat, pag mula nung umpisa ng April, ang umabot na sa kanila ay 5 billion 697 million pesos. I emphasize that to you because I know you're a good taxpayer, you're probably a good citizen, I'm sure you are. Pero nakikita nyo, 5.6 or 5.7 billion, rounding it off, na ang nabayad sa kanila. That's that small change. Do you agree, sir?
I agree, sir. That's a big amount of money.
And you can see it on the board. Then on 9 June, again, 32 days, on the 32nd day from April, they deliver, ito RT-PCR na naman to, fluorescent, 41,400. Or 2.877 billion. Pharmally lahat to or umabot na ng 8.5 billion pesos na ang nabili nila, ang binayad sa kanya ng gobyerno. Ano po? So wala rin sa inyo yan. Dahil hindi pa July yan. Tama po ba?
I would assume so, sir.
So hindi pa umabot ang July, naka 8.5 billion na sila. Then on June 10, 1 day after the previous delivery, meron silang extraction. Sabi nyo, mga extraction ang dineliver sa inyo. Meron ba kayong amount na dineliver na 312 extraction kits maaaring dineliver sa July? I don't know. Pero umabot na sila ngayon, nakakahalaga yun ng 787.96,000 at umabot na sila ang total cost ng 245.846 million. Dagdag yon sa previous balance of 8.5 billion na nabili, naging 8.8 billion. Again, that is not small change, and that was not delivered to you. Correct, sir?
Well, there was an acceptance of the same quantity of 312, but this was on July 23, 2020, sir.
So yung pumasok na sa inyo yon. Ano ba?
Hindi ko alam, sir, kung yan na nga yun, but we have received it on July 23.
Check.
For more than 1 month after that, but the same quantity of 312.
Yeah, and that cost about 245.8 million pesos. So we finally drew a bid na nag-deliver sa inyo ng extraction. Yan ang katotohanan sinasabi rin ni Miss Mago nung una na sinabi niya from the very beginning in April, extraction kits lang ang nilalagay nila sa bodega. Yun ang lumalabas sa kanya. Pero hindi natin makita, ang hinahanap natin ngayon ay yung mga mask at saka yung mga PPE'S. So, lumalabas po para extraction kit. Meron po bang dumating pang extraction kit sa inyo pagkatapos na? Sir?
Meron pong mga dumating mga test kits.
Test kit?
In July, August, and then November, hanggang September of this year, sir.
38,000.
Mga test kits.
Quantities? Lumabot ang 38,900 quantities. Ano po?
Yes, sir.
May value ba yan? May peso value ba yan? So, lumalabas, yun lang na-deliver sa inyo. Ngayon, ang hinahanap natin na mahiwaga ay saan napunta yung mga face mask at saka surgical kits at saka yung PPE'S. Ano po? I'll go to Twinkle Dargani. You were still president at that time. Twinkle, do you know about these deliveries?
Oh, Your Honor.
Are you sure you know what I'm asking? I delineated. By the way, Senator Drilon, welcome and a happy birthday. Frank, you pulled the fast one on me. I could have gone to your party. But anyway, in the Senate. But anyway, a very, very robust birthday party to one of the hardest working veterans, if not the hardest working senator in our country. Ms. Twinkle, you don't
Yes,
know, you
Your
were
Honor.
president at that time, ma'am.
Sir, I was only an interim president. I was not part of the transactions, as earlier mentioned.
Thank you for being forthright. I will accept your answer. In fact, what about Mr. Wang Suyan, the president of the company, made in Singapore? From Singapore, I'm sorry.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Are you aware of where these products went?
I don't understand the question.
You had the only thing that was delivered to Royal Cargo that we have been able to check are the test kits. But you bought practically almost 5 billion pesos. Tama ba yan? No, hindi naman 5 billion. Siguro mga 3.8 billion na according to the computation of the BIR and from your report, we're looking for where those were delivered. And in view of the fact that the COA says they're questioning whether this actually was lost or was wasted in their report, are you aware that these things were delivered to you? When did you become president, by the way? Again.
At the initial stage of the incorporation, I was nominated as the president by the board, and due to the COVID situation in 2020, I was unable to be there, and there was a lot of just corporate documents that is signed, and therefore it is in the board's decision and to me to step down so that it can facilitate to make things more efficient.
So it was given to Twinkle Dargani.
Yes, because Mr. Mohit Dabran cannot be both president and treasurer or president and corp sec according to the rules
Now-
upon legal advice.
Now, Twinkle, you were signing documents then, correct?
Very minimal, sir.
According to Mr. Wang.
Very minimal, sir, which I don't remember.
But you did look at the documents, right?
I
You know,
reviewed them. I reviewed
You
them
commit
before
a crime-
signing.
You can commit a crime either by fault or negligence. You understand that I'm saying, ma'am?
Yes, Your Honor. I reviewed the documents. I always review whatever I sign, but I cannot remember what
And
I've
these
signed.
were, but I will help you remember. These were in the millions, right? In the billions.
I did not sign any transactions, Your Honor.
No, but you signed up on the transactions. You're the president. You were made aware of that, and you had to sign that you were supplying PS-DBM with these products, and that also you were being paid by PS-DBM. Would that be correct, ma'am?
No, Your Honor. I did not sign any transactions, or I wasn't part of any of the transactions, Your
Oh,
Honor.
it was your brother who was signing. Is that correct, ma'am?
I will check, Your Honor, because it wasn't me.
No. I mean, you just said you did not do anything, so you must know. Was it
Mr.
Mainit who was signing?
Mr.
know
Chairman,
you-
if
I know you're siblings, and I appreciate your loyalty to your brother. I don't appreciate your brother putting you in a position where now you have to answer these questions. I don't want to put you in any stressful condition because you're a lady. Maybe I'll ask Mojit. Mojit, did you sign, Mojit? Did you take care of all these deliveries? Please cooperate with us. I mean, I've tried to be kind to you guys. The Blue Ribbon has been trying to be kind. It's only because you don't cooperate that we have to take the necessary action under the law. So, if it's not Twinkle, it's not Mr. Wang who signed up on these documents. You are the corporate secretary and treasurer. At the very least, as treasurer, you would know about this. Would that be correct, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. I was the one that signed being an authorized representative with the POs of the PS-DBM.
Yeah, and when they arrive from wherever you got them, most of them, where did they come from? Locally or internationally? From China?
Most of them came from China.
China. And when they arrived, where did they go? Because your documents, your financial statements, as stated earlier, upon perusal by the committee and with the help of Mr. Abrea, it shows that you could not account for about, is it 3.8 billion? 3.4 billion. 3.4 billion. Is that correct, Mr. Abrea? Mr. Abrea is still there. I know you asked permission. Maybe he's already gone. They had to leave early because of our previous appointment. But you can appreciate our problem, Mr. Dargani. We have to really find out what happened to what is purportedly a legal purchase made by PS-DBM from you and that you were paid. So the supplying and the payments, you said you were aware of that as treasurer. And that is a very, very valid presumption. Nobody else. It's a very sparse corporation. Now I ask you, saan napunta yung mga pera yan? Yung mga mask na yan at saka yung mga PPE'S.
Mr. Chairman, if I may say something just briefly.
No, I'm asking Mr. Dargani, please. Mr. Wang, I'll get to you.
Yes.
Mr. Dargani? Mojit?
Mr. Chairman, the items were delivered to PS-DBM.
The items were delivered to PS-DBM and Mr. Lau should be able to account for it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yes, the PS-DBM should be able to account for it.
And of course, Mr. Duterte has not seen it fit to arrest his favorite appointee. All right. Again, I request that publicly that the NBI help the committee search high and low, including the PNP. You cannot allow somebody like this, a fugitive from a very, very important investigation of the country, to get away with it. He's not showing up. He's no longer a member of the government, and he should be arrested and brought here to the committee. And we will not stop. Sineswerte ko kung akala nyo mag-i-stop kami. So,
Mr. Chairman, if there are concerns about ghost deliveries, especially let me compile whatever evidence we have. I'm not just talking about delivery receipts from PS-DBM, but rather photo evidence from internally that I will try to collect those and send in a report to show that there's actual deliveries. Of course, I feel that there's a lot of concerns on this issue. Let us try to prove that, if we may.
So you are saying that PS-DBM, of course, would have documents, right? They have to, otherwise they can withdraw money, correct?
Correct. But our end, we will also try to get whatever, the photos or any photos and stuff like this too.
Mr. Wang, you've been very, very cooperative, and I know that you're in Singapore. Can you kindly give us your full cooperation? Because what is happening here is that your friends will tell us that they will look for it. Can you believe that those papers are lost?
I have to apologize for our company because I said we really are a startup. I don't think we were doing a lot of the admin work and all the storage.
It's not apologies that we need for the company. It is accountability by its corporations, by its corporate members. Don't you think that's more apt, sir?
I believe there should be accountability, and especially within the SEC rules or the BIR rules, and we may have some lapse in that. And please forgive us. This is really our first venture together. We are all not very efficient in that. You can see with all our documentation preparation. So I really apologize on this behalf, on our behalf.
All right. You're a very kind man. I notice you always come to the rescue of your friends. Did you fund that jet?
No, Mr. Chairman, I did not fund that jet.
Do you know the person referred to by Mr. Dargani as the guy who funded that jet plane?
Mr. Chairman,
What's his name again? Gary Wong.
I do not know of a
It's not a very big town.
I do not know of this person called Gary Wong, but I admit that at initial stages, Mr. Mohit Dakani did mention to me about him wanting to leave. I did try to source, but in the end, I thought I left the things to his hand. So I said I couldn't.
Everybody, would it be fair to say that everybody that Mohit Dargani works with disappears? And everybody that Michael Yang practically disappears, especially the Filipino ones, except for Rose Nono Lim. She cannot disappear because she has a very nice house in Forbes. She has very nice cars that appear in her garage from time to time, and a pleasant surprise.
I cannot speak for Mr. Michael Yang or Madam Rob.
I know. I'm just making a statement. You have to understand, and I apologize because I'm really very frustrated, by the answers being given. And I hope, Mojit, you find your way clear. You have a mother that I'm sure is suffering. You have a sister that's suffering. And man up. You have to man up because you have to tell us who these people are. Gary Wong, you cannot trace him now. So,
I think, sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Wong.
I don't know who this Gary Wong is, but I think, from what I know, Mohit, he just doesn't want to implicate other people into this because they helped him. I think this was a tremendous help if ever it was afforded to him.
If this crime occurred in Singapore, do you think Mohit will be allowed not to implicate people?
I don't know.
Abetting the escape of fugitives from the Senate?
That one I do not know.
Thank you. Yes, Senator Ontiveros.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Again,
Just
I hope that these are follow-up questions because we're trying to canalize these guys because they're very shifty
Mr.
and
Chairman.
aggressive. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Two follow-up questions to Mr. Huang. Mr. Huang.
Yes,
Yes,
Mr.
thank
Chairman.
you. Thank you, Mr. Huang. When you say that Mr. Dargani just doesn't want to implicate other people, are you saying that there is no such person as Gary Wong, or that the name of the person who chartered the Celetar flight is a different one? Or you're not saying that because we are the committee, as far as the committee knows at this moment, the person who chartered the flight is a certain Gary Wong based in Singapore.
Mr. Chairman, at the initial stages, I did try to find different sources, but in the end, I left. I told Mohit that he needs to be able, because I don't know. I wasn't in frequent contact with him during that time. And so it'd be easier for him if he wants to plan anything. It'd be easier for him to plan himself because it's very difficult for me. Therefore, I think maybe he sought the help of other people. I didn't know. So that's why I said I don't know a Gary Wong. And the reason, if ever he don't want to mention who Gary Wong is, if ever, I think it's just for the intention that he doesn't want to implicate people who helped him. And that's
all right. I'll leave it at that for now. We will, as the chairman keeps saying, we will find out the answers to all of these questions, and so continue to track down this Mr. Gary Wong. My second and last follow-up question for now, Mr. Huang. If you told the committee that you can search for copies or screenshots or photos of the documents related to the deliveries, could you also do that for the documents related to the cost of goods sold so that we can fill the gap of these mysterious missing documents and boxes that the committee has been asking for from Pharmally's executives here in the Philippines for months already?
Mr. Chairman, I do not have, I think, most of the copies of the cost of goods sales because I was overseas and I wasn't hands-on with this, and I apologize for that. But I think for many of the deliveries, when deliveries were made, I think I did request for at least pictures, some photos of delivery, so that I guess at the time we just felt accomplished, delivering so many things at a time. So for us, we wanted to keep that as a namesake, or perhaps for future, saying how we delivered so much stuff. But so maybe I could have those, and I will try to compile those. But in terms of document-wise, I will try, but I really do not have a lot of those. I apologize.
But still, you said that you don't have you don't have photos of most of the documents on the cost of goods sold, but that would mean you have some, or even a few, whatever small number. Whatever you have, Mr. Wang, please send it to the chairman for the committee so that we can answer more fully our question about the cost of goods sold.
I will do my best.
That, Mr. Huang?
I'll do my best.
Thank you, Mr. Wang. And lastly, who in the Philippines has those documents?
I really would not know.
You don't know?
Honestly, at this point,
Right.
I don't know.
All right, we will find them. We will keep searching for them. Thank you, Mr. Huang. Salamat po, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Wang, just a follow-up. Aren't you perturbed that your conference cannot seem to remember where these documents are, and that the accountants that you hired, the bookkeepers that you hired, are slapdash? You pay 4,000 to a lady that I really have sympathy for. Naawa ako sa kanya, no? And then now, 25,000 pesos, ganyan na ba tayo kahirap talaga sa Pilipinas? Nagsusunod na lang tayo kung ano isusubo sa atin. Jeff Mariano. Aren't you at all perturbed that we cannot find it? And then you have a friend that says somebody paid for the jet, and aren't you perturbed that he says, I don't want to get him involved, and you cannot even find him anymore? I mean, there's just so many things, so many blank spaces.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I think on the previous hearings, another senator did mention on our workforce how we only have 7 staffs, and really for we was the whole company started as a very lean workforce, and we didn't have enough manpower to handle. So our focus at the time was always just getting the supply as soon as with Lincoln helping us sourcing for the supplies and ensuring deliveries, because there was just a huge, enormous amount of quantity and time just coordinating the time. So I know it's no excuse to not have all this as a company. It's no excuse to not have this thing properly documented and filed and on hand and ready, but it was not intentional. I don't think it's intentional. So we.
Thank you, Mr. Wang. You would make a very good spokesman for President Duterte because you're humble. I think it's important. I just said that because you're very loyal to your friends, but you're not perturbed when they're losing documents. We're looking for money. How much are we really investigating here? And I'm not going to tell you that, but 42 billion pesos was allocated, and about a third of that, at the very least, were allocated to your company. Awarded to your company. I said allocated because there didn't seem to be a proper bidding. So I'm very disturbed by that, especially since we're the lowest in performance in resilience in the COVID, and now we're facing another one, and then we're number one in terms of loans. And I am really nakakainis yan. I'll say it in Tagalog for my countrymen. Nakakainis sapagkat ang dami na nating utang, hindi pa mapakita kung saan ginamit yung pera. Even si Mr. Sarmiento nagugulat ginamit yung kanilang bodega pero hindi natin makita kung saan napunta yung malalaking ticket items na PPE'S na, by the way, you're aware that Mr. Mendoza, who is there, said that hindi natin alam, hindi na namin nabilang yan. Pinapirmahan na lang kami. So actually, I've not seen the stock, Your Honor, kasi I was at the office and I only relied on the documents. That's really bad in terms of running a government. With the other folks in this how do I call it, this thread or this meeting, would the minority floor leader have any questions? Yes, sir. Go ahead, please. Senator Jordon is recognized.
Yes, I would like to pursue that issue of suspected non-deliveries of the purchases appearing on record. I asked this the last time, but I did not get any specific answer, and I want to ask it again to give it emphasis and to make of record the importance of this issue in relation to the questions raised by the chairman just now. Mr. Dargani, in the summary list of purchases of Pharmally Pharmaceutical Corporation for calendar year 2020, which is an annex to your internal revenue return, you claimed a total of 3,273,158,972.17 as the total list of purchases. That is in the annex attached to your income tax return. Now, Mr. Dargani, of this 3.273 billion in purchases, 98.6% of that, or 3,228,829,668 pesos, were purchased from two companies, Evermore Marketing and Supply Company and Acme Pinnacle Enterprises Company, which, again, I would repeat for emphasis, were listed to have been responsible for 98.6% of the purchases made by Pharmally in 2020 per your own submission to the BIR. Now, we dug on this. First, these two corporations, Evermore Marketing and Supply Company and Acme Pinnacle Enterprises, filed their articles of incorporation almost at the same time in September of 2019. Now, Mr. Dargani, we checked and our sergeant at arms tried to serve the subpoena in the address appearing in the records of these two corporations, Evermore Marketing and Acme Pinnacle, which accounted for 98.6% of the purchases made by Pharmally in calendar year 2020. And Mr. Chairman, the addresses of these two corporations are non-existent. You cannot blame me if I start to doubt the veracity of this entry. It could be, in the absence of their offices being found in the address mentioned, you cannot help but doubt the existence of this corporation. And this is very worrisome because these two corporations constitute 98.6% of the purchases of your company in 2020 as per your filing as an annex of your internal revenue returns for 2020. So can you help me explain this? Why are these companies no longer existent? And also the major stockholder, the home address of the major stockholder, a Miss Therese Niedre of Evermore. The home address is in Ugong, Pasig. Our sergeant at arms made a return that it does not exist. This bothers me, Mr. Chairman, because if in 2020 per submission or in the BIR, 98.6% of the amount of the purchases were made from what appears to be non-existent companies. That causes us concern. So for the second time, can you explain this, Mr. Dargani? Why is it that Evermore, which per your Evermore and Acme Pinnacle, what's your own submission, was credited with 98.6% of all your purchases in 2020 would not exist in the addresses given or in the appearing in the articles? Mr. Dargani?
Happy birthday, sir. First of all,
Thank you.
I don't know. I'm not part of that company, so I don't know how to answer that, sir.
Yes, you are not part of that company, but your records appear, in your records, there appears to be purchases from these companies, which constitute almost 100% of all your purchases in 2020. The only thing that is not included there, among others, is a 6.5 million purchase of a Porsche car. 6.85 million was included in your annex, in your internal revenue return. And so, can you explain this? Why we could not find this Evermore Marketing and Supply Company and Acme Pinnacle Enterprises in the addresses appearing in their articles?
I'm really sorry, sir. I don't know how to explain that.
You do not know how to explain this. Who made these purchases?
The company made the purchases.
Yes, the company is an artificial juridical person. Who is the person, natural person, who represented the company, Pharmally, in making these purchases?
I really don't remember. All I know is for anything regarding supply, we our partner is Lincoln Ong is in charge for the supply chain management, but I don't think, or I don't know if he knows them directly or not.
You know, you cannot blame us for raising doubts about the legitimacy of what appears to be purchases, because you cannot remember the biggest supplier in 2020, which accounted for 98.6% of all your purchases in 2020 per your own reports. You cannot even remember. This is practically, these are the two companies that supplied all the materials. If you are going to look at your total purchases for 2020, you cannot remember who would be this, who would have made this purchase in 2020. First, do you confirm that there was such a sale? I'm sorry, that there was such a purchase?
Your Honor, maybe our supply chain manager would know.
Who is your supply chain manager?
Lincoln Ong.
Mr. Ong.
Oh, Mr. Ong, he is here. Mr. Ong, do you remember this purchase?
Mr. Chairman, Senator De Leon, happy birthday po. Mr. Chairman, as per the advice of our counsel, we shouldn't comment on those issues now because we're under investigation of the BIR, and then Mr. Dargani have a pending petition in. So I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
All right. You're saying that your counsel has advised you, but you have submitted this document as an annex to your income tax return. I repeat, you in your income tax return, you have submitted a list of purchase of Pharmally Pharmaceutical Corporation for calendar year 2020, and the suppliers, Evermore Marketing Supply Company and Acme Pinnacle Enterprises, constituted 98.6% of all your purchases. All I'm asking is, since this is already part of the record of the BIR, are you disputing that these purchases were made?
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I cannot comment on that, especially with regards to the BIR. My apologies, Mr. Chairman.
All right. So, you know, your clear refusal to answer the question gives this committee ground to continuously detain you for refusing to answer a very specific question which has relation to the subject that we are investigating. Next question, why is Tiger Marketing not in the summary list of purchases in 2020?
Mr. Chairman, pagdating sa accounting, I cannot comment, and then I really don't know.
I thought Mr. Targani said you are the ones who would know this.
Well, yes po, Mr. Chairman, alam ko po yung mga sources, mga purchases, but yun lang po.
Anong yun lang po?
Ayun po, alam ko po yung Tiger Fields, diyan po namin kinuha yung mga stocks.
Okay. Do you know Evermore Marketing?
It's on the record. Yes po.
You know this company. You listed this as one of the suppliers together with Acme Pinnacle for a total purchase of 3,228,879,663 pesos. This appears in your annex, in your your tax return. You confirm this, I assume, because this appears to be your submission.
Mr. Chairman, if it's on record, I could confirm, but I cannot
Okay.
comment on that.
Good. Bakit yung pa po pinapatagal? Nasa record na eh. So you confirm. All right. Did you... Why is it... Okay, continue. Did you withhold taxes, value-added taxes on these purchases?
Mr. Chairman, pagdating sa mga tax, mga accounting po, I cannot comment on that. I really cannot comment on
Who
that.
can explain this to us, Mr. Ong? Sabi ni Mr. Dragani, you can explain it.
Well, I can explain pagka kaya ko po talaga, i-explain ko. Pero pag hindi po, wala naman po. Ayun po.
Okay, is it a fact that you did not withhold taxes on the payment of 3,879,663 in purchases from Evermore Marketing and Acme Pinnacle Enterprise?
Ayun nga po, Mr. Chairman. Pagdating sa mga tax, mga BIR, accounting, I really cannot comment on that.
Bakit po?
Kasi we are under investigation of BIR. Tapos,
Yes,
hindi po yung advice po ng lawyer namin eh.
Yun ang advice ng lawyer nyo to refuse to answer any question even if it pertains to the document that you have submitted in support of your income tax return, and we're trying to figure out whether you paid the correct taxes.
I understand your sentiment, Mr. Chairman, but again, matinding investigation po ang ginagawa sa amin ng BIR. Please.
Okay.
But personally and corporately, oh my God, nakatanggap na, ang dami ko na letter na natanggap sa BIR, Mr. Chairman, hindi ko nga masasagot na maayos eh. Kasi nakakulong po ako.
Huwag mo pong sabihin nakakulong ka dahil sinabi mo na sa mga dokumento yan, hawak ninyo. Hanggang ngayon, wala po kayo mapakita sa aming dokumento. Pinayagan kayo, sabihin nyo lang kung saan yung mga dokumento at ang aming Sergeant at Arms sinabi, handa silang pumunta roon kung saan man yun at dadalhin sa inyo yung mga boxes of documents para po masagot nyo at ang mga tanong namin tungkol sa pagbayad ng buwis.
Ayun nga po, Mr. Chairman, hindi ko po talaga alam yung mga boxes na yan. Ang tagal-tagal na po ako nakakulong dito po sa Senado, Mr. Chairman. Tapos ngayon, nasa kulungan na po ako. Nasa Pasay City Jail na po ako. Ang tagal-tagal na po ako nakakulong. Hindi na ako kilala na anak ko eh. Hindi na nakabisita sa akin.
Sagutin mo lang muna ang tanong po namin, Mr. Ong. Hindi po ba
Opo, Mr. Chairman, my apologies.
taon para iharap sa amin yung aming mga dokumento na aming kailangan para tingnan kung kailangan bang baguhin ang ating mga proseso pag-file ng income tax return dahil kagaya po nito, sabi nyo, hindi nyo po maalaala kung kung talaga pong binili nyo ito, and you cannot even tell us if value-added tax were withheld, which is an obligation. Sabi nyo sa dokumento yan, ngunit hindi nyo rin maituro sa amin kung saan yung mga dokumento yan.
Mr. Chairman, medyo paulit-ulit na po yung sagot ko. Baka nagagalit na po kayo sa akin. Wala po talaga akong alam sa mga dokumento. Pagdating sa tax, BAR, mga accounting,
Okay.
I really cannot comment. And then, yun din po yung advice eh. And then, I'm not...
Po ang nakakaalam tungkol dito.
Well, ano po yung tanong niyo, Mr. Chairman?
Sino po, who can explain to us where these documents are and why and whether or not this purchase really took place? You know why, Mr. Ong? Because if we are not satisfied that the purchases were made from Evermore Marketing and from Acme, how can you make us believe that you delivered to PS-DBM kung yung hindi mo ma-confirm that you purchased supplies? The other thing that makes me wonder, Mr. Ong, is why is it that Tiger Marketing, which you said was the source of your supplies, the name of that company does not appear in your 2020 summary list of purchases? Bakit
Mr. Chairman, to answer the first question, I assure you na deliver po yung mga items dahil po meron po tayong DR at yung mga DR po, yung mga delivery receipt po, naisabit na namin sa komite. Diba? Yung mga DR namin, lahat po yun, may pirma na ng taga PS-DBM, which is mahahanap nyo yun agad-agad. As to the second question, again, Tiger Philippines is one of our supplier. As to pagdating sa mga books, mga FS, Mr. Chairman, yun nga po, I cannot comment on that. Yun po.
Okay, I think our people will share my frustration that in the presence of this clear state or transactions as you have submitted to the BIR, here you are refusing to answer questions because of your alleged lack of knowledge, as these are in the documents and the documents we have given you every opportunity to produce. In the face of that, I have reason to maintain and propose to the committee that these are fictitious purchases. And if these are fictitious purchases that you made from Evermore and Acme, what merchandise did you sell to PS-DBM? Kung hindi nyo po mapatunayan na ito'y may supply kayong binili, ano kung inaibenta nyo sa PS-DBM kung wala pong maliwanag na may binili kayong supplies? Hindi po maliit talaga ito. 3,228,899,668. Again, this constitutes 98.6% of your total purchases in 2020 per your own report, and here you are telling us that you cannot explain this, that you don't have access to the documents, etc., etc.
Mr. Chairman, meron po talaga tayong DR na ipapapirma sa mga ahensya. I'm not saying I cannot explain it. I'm just saying that I cannot comment on it, Mr. Chairman. Huwag na po kayo magalit sa akin. Ulit-ulit po yung sagot ko sa inyo.
Paano po maniniwala na sa inyong PR or delivery receipts, kung wala naman kayong supply, dahilan sa hindi mo masabi kung talagang existing itong mga supplies na binili nyo?
Mr. Chairman, hindi naman po basta-basta pipirmahan yung DR namin pagka wala talagang delivery. Ang dami
Talaga? Hindi basta pipirmahan ang inyong DR kung walang delivery? Bakit ng inspeksyon sa Maynila ng mga purchases na nandun pa sa Tokyo, hindi pipirmahan sila ng inspection report? Kung ginagawa nila yon, if they can sign inspection reports of merchandise which are not in front of them and certifying that they are in accordance with that the quality is in accordance with the terms and specifications, how much more can we believe, or why should we believe you? Why should we believe you when you say that the deliveries were evidenced by delivery receipts when you cannot even convince us that there was merchandise in the first place because the purchases appear to be fictitious?
Mr. Chairman, as for your example, it's a different company and then I cannot really comment on it. As for our company, we follow the procedure, we deliver the goods, we let them sign our DR and then acceptance. We go through the process. Yun lang po talaga yung masasabi ko at sana maniwala po kayo sa amin. Maayos naman po yung mga DR namin, documentation.
Mr. Chairman, I am frustrated and I yield the floor frustrated. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I share the frustration of the At least he wished you a happy birthday, Mr. President, Mr. Minority Floor Leader. Mr. President, uh, I just have to ask Mr. Wang this question, Mr. President Wang. I asked you whether you were not perturbed at what is happening. You know that your people cannot even show you the receipts or the cost of goods sold and they keep putting us on a wild goose chase. You know, they try to escape. Or you're not worried about that?
Mr. Chairman, of course I'm worried for my partners. Of course, I hope they can be released. You know, but if, in my humble opinion, I think what my partners are saying is we are not saying we're not going to answer for all these questions raised. I think they are legitimate questions, but they feel that it is there should be a more appropriate forum in terms of on these questions, especially regarding taxes and our financial statements in the BR with the BR, and commenting here will more or less implicate our the investigations there. So
I understand, but you see, let me just point out, you know, human nature, especially you're very trusting with your friends and you're very protective of your friends. I would imagine that you would be disturbed that you're missing all the documents, right? After all, you represent 40% of the corporation. Isn't that correct, sir?
that is correct, Mr. Chairman.
So if you're missing those documents, and if they are very, cavalier about handling those documents, could it be possible that they were also cheating you?
Mr. Chairman, I don't think they are cheating me. I think it's also a lapse in my
You're a
responsibility.
very kind person.
I think it's also a lapse in my responsibility because I was dealing with.
You don't think
family.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead. Please continue.
I was dealing with family matters during this whole period, and they in my opinion, they stood up for me and helped me to run the company. So I put a trust in them, and I didn't follow up, and that's a lesson part.
I appreciate your trust in them. I'm just saying, if these guys show that they cannot even remember things, they cannot remember what they signed, they cannot even show where the boxes are which contain the documents. There's infidelity in the custody of documents, assuming there really are those documents. Because at the rate we're going, it would appear that you could not blame us if we conclude that perhaps there was never really any delivery.
Wala talaga kayong makuha ang reaction dyan pag ganun. Kulong na
Right?
yan.
Because they're not
Mas
showing the
maisip.
documents. Right? When it is a simple matter, wouldn't it be a simple matter? And you don't have to tell me about your lawyer that you should show the documents when you're asked if you have nothing to hide?
Mr. Chairman, I'm not. In my opinion, I guess I believe in the system of the Philippine government. I did on the procurement side. I believe that if there's no
Don't
delivery,
blame it on us because
I'm not blaming on anyone. I just said
I'm not as confident as you because I've seen in the Blue Ribbon investigations that I've conducted, there are some bad people in our country. Like in yours, there are some bad people in your country. We don't have a franchise on bad people, but certainly the law says there's a presumption that they're innocent. But can you blame us every time we ask a question? Lincoln would say, please don't ask me about that accounting yan eh. Don't, and then if you ask Mr. Gargani about that, he says, I cannot tell you because, my lawyers told me not to answer, or he will have some funny excuse that, I cannot tell you who this guy is because I just met him in a bar and then later on we met and then he supplied me with the money to pay that plane. And then he cannot continue on the veracity of his information. I can go on and on, Twinkle says she reads all the documents but cannot remember. And then you have the government representative, as Senator Ginon says, and you heard the testimony of Mr. Mendoza that they were asked to sign without looking at it. So this is the Blue Ribbon investigation. We have put people in jail permanently here. The investigation results, have resulted in the locking up of 2 high officials of the government. We're investigating 42 billion pesos that was given to this to be spent by Pharmally in a very cavalier manner. I mean, we have to find out. So we can come into the conclusion that if they cheated the government, it is possible that they cheated on you. Did you know, for example, that your good friend, Dargani, your trusted friend, gave his girlfriend and Miss Mago a corporation called Business Beyond Limits? I should have called it Lying Beyond Limits. Because Sophia cannot be seen. Miss Mago changes her testimony. There is a highway of lies. A highway, you're like rubber bands, elastic. You keep changing and changing and changing, and you keep going back and back. We didn't want to jail you guys. In fact, I said in Tagalog, mabait ito si Mr. Wang. Because when we were telling Lincoln on the first day that he was going to be locked up, you came to his rescue and you said it was Michael Yang. It is true that Michael Yang was not telling the truth. He was actually supplying you with money and supplying you with contracts. In fact, I have the names of people like Miao Miao, Jin Tui, Su Tian Yun, Chang Ah Hong, Miao Miao. And who gave this? Wasn't this Michael Yang who gave this? So every time we push back, they give a little. And then, I'm just summarizing, Mr. Wang, because you are the company president. There is such a thing as a fiduciary relationship to the stockholders and to the country, our country. For example, when Mr. Ong gives us the number of ACME, and I can show you what is the report on ACME, they went to the subdivision and they said there is no number by that name. Here, it says the first attempt to serve the subpoena to Ms. Neindre and Ms. Garange on November 25, 2021 was 16 at 16D Reynaldo, Tandang Sora, Quezon City. According to Joy Alunos, Secretary of Raymar Subdivision Homeowners Association, there is no number 16 in Reynaldo Street, and there is no Evermore Marketing and Supply Company in that subdivision. So again, that's a lie. And then also with the other one that were allegedly the guy who did not pay the right taxes, the first one who paid 3 million more in taxes, Tiger Phil, and then he was referring to another company who Green Trends, who we cannot find. No person lives in that address, all right? And then the other one is another person that we cannot find is General Cruz. We cannot find Uson. We cannot find all these people, and they're all connected. And Michael Yang doesn't even want to tell us where he got the money for this LA. Doesn't want to tell us where he got the money for Yangtze or for Pali. But the facts show that he has so much money, but he doesn't want to explain it. So this is a litany of lies to be very simple. And then your accountant, she says she was paid 4,000 and she was just given a list. She doesn't know of her personal knowledge that the documents there pertain to actual facts. And now comes Jeffrey Mariano. Now I'm going to go now to Jeffrey Mariano after going to that recital of lies. Jeff, are you going to be part of this party of liars? Let me ask you. You submitted an amount of 7 million, saan yan? 7 billion na pinakita mo 7.2 billion Anong basis mo dun sa 7.2 billion? Can you tell me?
Sir, Mr.
Hindi mo
Chairman,
nakita, ano ang pinagbasihan mo nung 7.2 billion?
nakita po namin, Mr. Chairman, yung mga documents.
Pero unsupported yung 3.4 billion, correct?
To be honest po, sir, hindi ko po din mag-gets kung bakit yun lang po yung lumalabas sa BIR.
I'm glad you said to be honest.
Apo,
Kasi
kasi,
yung sinasabi ng BIR. Are you now saying the BIR is lying?
Ayun nga. No, sir, I'm not insinuating that po. Pero to the best of our knowledge, sir, and also was mentioned by Sir Mohit, yung iba po kasi yung purchases were importation. So, nagtataka po kami, bakit hindi po yun nasasama sa
In fact,
nagad?
wala si Tiger Field doon. Wala yung mga kotse, 10.9. Ang sabi ni Mohit, binigyan niya ng 25 million peso Lamborghini yung kanyang kapatid. Nag-advance siya sa korporasyon. Nandun ba yun? 25.
For 2021, sir, parang wala po na advances for the car.
Ha?
2021 po yung transaction, sir. If I'm not mistaken po, wala pong advances for that.
Pero sinabi ni Dargani na may advance siya. So he's lying.
For the car po, sir, yun po yung sinasabi ko. Wala pong advances for that.
Kaya nga.
So,
So hindi nagbayad ng tax doon. Di ba? Or for that matter, sinabi mo, ang nagbibigay sa'yo ng dokumento si Dargani, pero nung tinanong si Dargani, hindi niya na matandaan. Tama, Jeff?
alin pong transaction? Specifically, Mr.
Sabi ko, galing sa kamo, ang information, galing ka. Sinulatan mo siya, di ba? Ano sinulat mo sa kanya? Ano sinulat mo sa kanya? Sa email?
Ito po, sir. Basahin ko lang po. Would like to request the items from the attached file as requested by the Senate.
Hindi siya sumagot.
Wala pong feedback, sir.
Sinabi mo, in-email mo siya tungkol doon. You're asking for the attached file, right?
Yes po.
Attached, ano yung attached file na yun?
Ito rin po, sir, yung nanggaling from the Blue Ribbon na subpoena duces tecum for the supporting docs for the cost of sales.
Ang sinasabi ko lang, kaya kung nire-research
Purchases po.
ko, mag-isip na sana sila Lincoln Ong, sila Dargani. The gig is up. Wala na kayong aatrasan. Huli na lahat yan. Ang haba na ng kasinungalingang ginagawa nyo. Kaya nga ang conclusion namin, kanina sinabi ko na mag-umpisa ako, ang hinahanap na natin ngayon baka ghost deliveries na yan. Kaya tinatanong ko yung presidente ng kumpanya, hindi ka ba na-worry? Hindi ka ba na-perturb? Hindi makita yung mga dokumento? Paano mo papaliwanag yan ngayon kung talaga nag-deliver kayo? Kung nagkonsyaba nga si Lau na nagtatago ngayon, at hindi ako nagtataka, nagtatago si Lau. Hoy Lau, kung nakikinig ka, nagtatago ka because complicit ka. Baka wala talagang deliver. Nag-good siya mga kaibigan mo. That is my point, Mr. Jeff. I see you nodding your head. Do you agree with me?
Yes, sir. Noted. Understood po. I agree, sir. Agree po.
Oh, you agree. I'm glad you agree. At least that's the first time that I see that you're still thinking and that you still, to a certain extent, are worried for the country. Are you worried for the country?
Sadly and deeply po, sir. Ever
Good.
since.
I'm glad you are because we're facing another threat. I'm not going to alarm the country, pero mukhang bibili na naman tayo ng mga bagong mask. Dahil may mga nagsasabi sa akin, naghanap na ako sa Red Cross kagad kung meron kami nung N95 dahil mukhang yun ang pinakamatibay. Dahil ito hindi nasisingot ito Pumapasok na lang sa lungs diretsa. So baka bibili tayo. Tara ko nga si Dr. Antonio Lachon, yung ba makaka-defend yung N95 dahil ang lumalabas dito, bagay, it's unfair to ask because hindi pa talaga lumalabas sa ating data, pero at the rate it's going, it goes direct to the lungs. There are no symptoms, there are no coughs, and therefore, what do you see, Dr. Liachon? Di ba delikado? Dapat maghanda na tayo kung anong gagawin natin, na bibili natin na gamit. Would that be correct? Would that be a step in the right direction, sir?
Mr. Chair, the manifestations are being contested by experts whether it's a mild symptom or severe, because of the two variable results of the report. But since it was named by the World Health Organization, sir, last Friday as a variant of concern, then why should it be named as a variant of concern if it will not cause increased transmissibility or severity, and it may render certain vaccines ineffective? And of course, it can cause recurrent infection. So tama, sir, yung iniisip natin that we need to prepare kung sakali, sir. And I think 35 countries na ang meron, sir, right now. And according to the WHO and CDC, we need 2 to 3 weeks so that they can make an official announcement of the manifestation of this disease. But, sir, it's better to prepare right now so that when the eventuality comes, ready po ang mga Pilipino. But the best is actually have the vaccination and get the booster to prepare the country. And then again, prepare the healthcare system and of course the human resources.
That's precisely what I've been announcing in the Red Cross. I've been putting out press statements to that effect. Although we should not be alarmed, better to be prepared. Do the protocols, wash your hands, have mask, double mask pa kung kailangan. And instead of face shields, dapat goggles ka. Ako, ginagamit ko goggles dahil hindi ko makakamot yung mata ko kung may goggles. Pero kung yung mask, kung minsan, dinaalis natin yung face shield, dinaalis natin yung mask, maaaring pumasok doon yung virus kung inaalis natin yung mask dahil mas convenient. Kala natin may false protection. So, sinasabi ko lang, baka iikot na naman tayo, another pagsasabantalahan na naman tayo, bibili na naman ba tayo kung hindi natin nalalaman kung ano talaga nangyari dito sa pera natin. At ang laki-laki na nga ng utang natin, top-notch tayo sa World Bank, sa borrowings. So, Jeff, ang tanong ko sa iyo, sabi mo, you're deeply concerned. That's why, my question still remains, bakit, kung di mo nakita anong pinagbasihan mo at nakita mo ang lumabas sa BIR ay 7.2 billion pero ang nawawala, unsupported ay 3.4 billion.
Yes, sir.
Kung rin yung mga kotse. Simple na lang tanong, huwag ka naman magalit sa akin, Lincoln, ha? Kung tatanungin ko, tinanong kita nung araw kung magkano ang sweldo mo kay Michael Yang. Ulitin mo nga kung ano sinabi mo, magkano ang sweldo mo kay Michael Yang?
Chairman, nung tinanong niyo po ako, hindi po ako sumagot dahil po ayun nga po, meron akong investigation
kaya sinungaling talaga.
from the BIR po. Hindi po ako sumagot nun eh.
Hindi ba sinabi mo 80,000? Sumagot ka.
Sumagot yan eh.
80,000. Hindi ako nagtatanong, hindi ko alam ang sasagot ko. Sasagot mo.
Mr. Chairman,
Sabi mo 80,000.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I don't recall.
Malayo pa ang birthday ko. Si Frank Dillon, Senator Dillon, pwede mong bulayan ng happy birthday, pero ako, hindi mo pati bulayan, malayo pa yung birthday ko. so, sabi mo 80,000. Kung tatanungin ka ngayon, halimbawa, Jeff, ikaw nang tatanungin ko, di ba pwedeng tanungin si Lincoln o si Mojit? Saan nyo kinuha yung pambili ng ikaw, 2 Porsche at saka Lexus? Kung 80,000 lang ang sweldo mo. Jeff, is that a fair question, Jeff? Jeff Mariano?
Kung magbe-base lang, sir, sa sahod po, yes, it's a fair question.
Correct. Lincoln, tinatanong kita ngayon. Sagot mo, iniimbestiga na ako ng BIR.
Mr. Chairman, as in ang dami na nilang letter sa akin, umaabot dito sa Senado. Ngayon,
sasabihin mo naman ngayon, sorry for disturbing you, sasabihin mo naman ngayon, ang tagal ko na nakakulong. Hindi naman kami may kasalanan kung nakakulong ka. Kung nagsabi ka ba ng totoo, di wala tayong problema. Hindi naman dapat magsinungaling eh. The law is very clear. We're asking you in pursuit of the public interest so that we can catch the malfeasance of government officials that you might have been involved with. Alam mo, ang talagang big fish dito, si Lao. Susunod na sa taas yan. Alam ni Mr. Leong yan. I hope Mr. Leong is aware of this and I'm sure he is aware. Pero, yan ang nakikita ko. Ang daming talagang tinuhog mo yan, ang dami-dami talagang badges of lies, actual lies. Alright? Siyempre, wala kang sagot, ano, Mr. Ong? Kung tatanungin ka, huli ka kaagad. Saan mo kinuha yung pambili ng Lexus? Magkano yung Lexus? Katulad ng sinasabi,
Lexus po, yung 5 point something po
million.
yata.
Ha?
Mga 5 point something po yata yung
5.9
Lexus.
million.
I don't recall.
Balik nyo doon sa hinahanap natin, yung mga sinasabi mo, binili nyo. Yung sa Acme ba yun? Na sinasabi, walang nakatira doon. Katulad doon si Jiang Jing. Ano yung Jiang K, masabi mo, wrong spelling. Wang Ji, pinuntahan yung address, wala rin. Ikaw rin ang nagsabi noon. Wala rin yung binilihan ni nitong yung Green Trends, wala rin. Wala nakatira doon sa address. So yung nakikita nyo, talagang nakatali na talaga yung mga sinungaling nyo, nakamarka na. Tataka nga ako sa presidente natin, sabi niya, he's not tolerance for corruption. Pero wala naman sinasabi. Napipilitan lang ako sumagot dahil panay pa ang banat sa amin na kung ano-ano pa sinasabi. Kung lalabas pa siya, di mapupurihin pa siya ng tao. Mukhang hindi niya kayang suhituhin yung mga bata niya na siya nag-appoint. Alright, Mr. Abrea, did you have any comment? You told me earlier you had to leave. Is there anything that you also want to explicitate here?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Aside dun sa mga unsupported purchases based on documents and undisclosed financing, gusto ko lang po i-present yung last slide, Mr. Chairman. Kasi po, other than dun sa undisclosed financing, Mr. Chairman, may mga corp companies din po na ang investors nila ay mga companies din po or corporations. So, ito po yung last slide, Mr. Chairman, kung saan ito po yung tatlong top investors ng iba't ibang companies. Si Jason Uson, 110 million. Si Lin Wengxiong, Chinese nationality niya, 72.5 million. And si Yang Hongjiang, Chinese ang nationality, 50.4 million, Mr. Chairman. Then, yung iba pong companies, ito pong tatlong corporate companies na to ang shareholders. Kung saan ang major shareholder ay Yangtze Group Trade ay si Jason Uson pa rin po, 55%. Sa DCLA Plaza, si Jason Uson pa rin po, 55%. And sa XRL Holdings, si Ms. Rose Nonolin, 60%. Ang point lang po, Mr. Chairman, is sa paghahanap kung ano po yung source of financing, hindi po sufficient yung mga disclosures and documents for us to make a conclusion kung saan po talaga nanggaling, Mr. Chairman. With regard naman po dun sa mga delivery receipts na sinabit ni Pharmally, there's no way of verifying, Mr. Chairman, kasi wala po kami mabanggaan na warehouse or even yung importations, Mr. Chairman, wala pa rin po kami natatanggap kung other than po dun sa record na galing kay BIR na 613 million yung na-import. Other than doon, Mr. Chairman, wala na po kaming ibang documents na natanggap. And as you have mentioned, yung whether legit, totoo, or dami lang yung mga suppliers, hindi rin po namin ma-verify yon kasi po yun po yung sinabit nila na company name at PIN number sa kanilang summary list of purchases, Mr. Chairman.
Lahat ayos lahat Alam niyo ba, katulad doon yung pulis na namatay, si Nuesca, pati yung napatay niyang pamilya, nagdududa tuloy sa ating gobyerno kung totoong namatay yan. Kaya nga nag-issue ko ng statement, dapat pakita ng Secretary of Justice, confirm nila kung totoong namatay yan. Natatakot ako dito, baka mangyari na naman dito sa Albayalde case, halimbawa, nagboro-moro sila, nag-file kunyari ng kaso, designed to lose. Kaklase niya yung nag-file Pareho sila, kabaro sila. Ngayon dito, Yan ang inaasahan nito mga tao ito, kaya sinungaling sila ng sinungaling. Dapat magsabi na sila ng totoo. Lincoln, Mohit, magsabi na kayo ng totoo dahil kala nyo ba maayos yan? Hindi namin kayo titigilan hanggang lumabas talaga yung katotohanan. Yan lang sinasabi ko sa inyo. Now, I hope you're aware of that. Mr. Ong, are you aware of what I just said?
Oh, yes po, Mr. Chairman.
I would advise you to cooperate with the committee. Mohit, naawa ko sa nanay mo. Naawa ko sa kapatid mo. Are you aware of what I just said?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
I advise you to cooperate. At least that will be taken as points for you. Well, this is not a criminal proceeding, but it is going to go to a criminal proceeding if you cooperate early enough, especially if we bag the big guys here, the crooks. Don't take the rap. You'll be left with the empty bag, and eventually we'll catch them also. Are you aware of what I'm saying?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Especially since you just had an Indian holiday, right? You're an Indian Filipino, right? And that holiday, what do you call that holiday? Diwali? Diwali, what does that mean?
Diwali. It's the Festival of Lights, or as we call it, it's more known as our Indian New Year.
That's right, Festival of Life. In other words, you know, you're young guys and you can still pick up your lives. And I would advise you to cooperate. Now, I just want to, again, ask Mr. Abrea. Following that, I took the liberty of putting all together para malaman ng mga tao bakit hindi natin matapos-tapos. Ano po? At papadala ko ng kopya yung ating mga kasama, pero pinapakita ko na sa inyo dyan. O yan, o. Matagal na namin ginawa ito. Unahin natin si Rose Nono Lim. Ang involvement niya ay kasama siya sa DCLA Plaza. Tama, Rose? Rose?
Mr. Chairman.
Kasama ka ba doon sa Palil Estate? Piley Estate?
Piley Estate, yes, Mr. Chairman.
And you're the president.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
And you have a present share of 25%, which is 50 million, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
And you have a registered address here of 18A St. Michael Street, Paradise Village, Quezon City. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Now, then you are in the company Patek Land Holdings. The SEC registration follows 1 month after Piley Estate, after Piley Estate Group. This is Patek Holdings. This time you are the corporate secretary and you have an investment of 2.62% to 2.62 million, and your investment is 35%. I don't know. You said you were a receptionist in one of the hotels before you married Lin Wei Xiong, right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. That's right, po.
That's correct. So I'm presuming that you're going to say next that Lin Wei Xiong gave you this money, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
So he gave you this money.
Husband's money.
Why would he give you this money and instead of putting his name, why would he not put his name? Bakit hindi niya gagawin ilagay yung pangalan niya?
Mr. Chairman, sa company po natin, meron po tayong tinatawag na 60-40% investment po.
I heard that. Yes.
Yes po. And then my husband trust me and to put my names po sa mga companies
Of course. That's why.
Shares.
Yes. Okay. Ito na naman. Happy 168 Development Corporation. 1 month after June, 2 years after June 16, you're the president of this and you now have 20% and you have a 250,000 peso investment. Nothing wrong with that. Then Seanway Technology, June 8, 2016, you're the president and your percentage share is 32.3%. Correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
47 million pesos, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
And then Philippine Full Win. You are the treasurer and you have an investment of 15 million pesos, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
And then Power Mega Mix Corporation. Dito, 100,000 pero you're the president, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
100 pesos pala, 100 pesos. in the 100,000, 100 pesos. My mistake. And then Pharmally Biological, October 20, 2017. You're the Treasurer and Chief Finance Officer. Correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that's right po.
And you have an investment of how much?
51.50 pesos, Mr. Chairman.
Pesos. Baba naman, biglang, para ba naghirap ka ba dyan?
No, Mr. Chairman, because we are not sure of investing that one po dahil hindi pa po kompleto yung mga documents.
100 pesos, tapos 51.50. Tapos bumalik ka sa 20 million dito sa Paihong Realty. Corporate Secretary ka, 20 million. Tama?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that's right po.
And then Philippine United Technic Corporation. Meron kang investment, Corporate Secretary ka, 875,000. Correct?
That's right, Mr. Chairman.
And then XRL Holdings, you're the president and you have 60% share, correct?
That's right po, Mr. Chairman.
And then you made 100 and then or 3.74 million pesos. And then Piley Holdings Corporation, you have an investment of 100 pesos. Plus, you have, I don't know kung bonus yun, pero nagugulat na lang ngayon. I'm sorry, hindi naman kita yung pinipikon, no? Pero nababasa ko doon sa mga thread na nagulat ka na lang dahil sinabi mo, ikaw nagsabi nun eh, nagising ka na lang, may kotse na kagad sa garahe mo.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, because I want to clarify that, Mr. Chairman. Kasi
Go ahead, I don't want you to be ridiculed.
tinanong niyo po na kung may pagkakataon po ba na pagkagising ko po ay may sasakyan po sa garahe ko dahil hindi po ako mahilig sa sasakyan.
Kung tinanong yun, ikaw ang nagsabi nun, wala akong sinabing ganun. Wala akong sinabi, huwag mong lalagyan ng salita ko. Hindi sinasabi. Hindi kita tatanungin ng ganun. Kung alam ko kung anong oras ka gumigising eh. Kasi kung ganun eh,
Mr. Chairman.
baka nabunutan ka ng ngipin, nilagay mo yung ngipin mo doon sa ilalim ng una, nag-wish ka, yun ang dumating, kotse.
Mr. Chairman, ang asawa ko po talaga ang mahilig po sa mga sasakyan. Kaya po wala po akong interest sa mga sasakyan as long po, sa sinabi ko po, as long na gumagana, kaya po kami i-transfer po ng mga anak ko at komportable po kami, wala pong problema sa amin.
Okay. Now, pati mga anak mo, mga kapatid mo, mayroong mga corporation, di ba?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Tama po.
They have a total of 100 million pesos in stock holdings.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Ang daming pera. Nagbabayad ba ng income tax si asawa mo?
Alam ko, Mr. Chairman, mayroon po siyang binabayaran na income tax po.
Pero ngayon sinasabi nga ni Mr. Abrea, pag tinignan, can you show that slide again please, Mr. Abrea? Is Sean Way there as also?
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Yung slide na pinakita mo na mukhang hindi magja-justify.
Okay. Second to the last slide po. Based po dun sa documents na na-submit po sa amin, yung accumulated income na de-declare from 2016 to 2020 ay nasa 1.36 million lamang po ni Ms. Rose Nonolin po. Pero ang total investment po per document po, Mr. Chairman, ay nasa 136.353 million po, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. So saan manggagaling ang pera yan? Sa Pogo ba yan? Rose?
Mr. Chairman?
I'm just
yung pera po ng 136 million, 353 million po na sinasabi po na total investment po na nagmumula po sa lahat ng corporation po namin, yan po ay declared po.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm able to read it.
Opo. So,
I-
hindi lang po yan sa Pogo ng gagaling, Mr. Chairman.
No, ang next question dyan, saan nanggaling yung perang yan?
Mr. Chairman, hindi lang po nanggaling po yan sa Pogo. Kung yun po ang tinatanong po ninyo, I have loan po sa bangko. Yes,
Okay. So, hindi na ako magtatanong dahil that's your internal ko na. But I
Thank
just
you.
want to say na nakakapagtaka na pati mga anak mo, kapatid mo, kasama dyan, 100. Now, ang tanong ko sa'yo ngayon, bakit hindi umuwi yung asawa mo from Dubai?
Mr. Chairman, sinabihan ko na po yung asawa ko na umuwi. Pero dahil nga po, sinabi ko po, before ng April po, tinamaan po siya ng COVID. So, under medication pa rin po siya. So, pwede ko po siya sabihan na umuwi, pero discretion po niya kung uuwi po siya o hindi. Dahil ayaw ko naman po na...
Hindi siya nag-worry kung humaharap dito. di ba?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Dahil po humarap po ako sa inyo at willing po ako tumulong dahil wala naman po kami tinatago.
Hindi ko tinatanong kung may tinatago ka. In fact, I've been very, try to be very, very, correct with you, di ba?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Tinanong pa ako, bakit mabait raw ako sa'yo? Di ba? Mabait naman talaga ako, pero nagtatanong lang ako para lumabas lahat, no? Hanggang ngayon ba may COVID pa siya? Baka abutin na siya doon ng variant, bago.
Ngayon po, under medication pa po kasi lungs po talaga niya yung tinamaan, Mr. Chairman.
Pwede naman siya mag-participate online, katulad ni Wang, di ba? Pwede siya mag-participate online.
Pwede ko po sabihan, Mr. Chairman, kung yun po ang gusto po ninyo. Pero I cannot decide.
Hindi naman ako kasi mas maganda na andito siya dahil, again, may kontrobersya dyan na siya raw si Alan Lin, no?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sure you can...
Pero naman po yan ni PDEA Director Wilkins Villanueva po. Na iba po yun sa asawa ko po na si Lin Lee.
Kilala ko si Wilkins. Sinabi niya nga yan sa harapan ng Pagulong Duterte. Di ba? Napanood mo rin ba yun?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Napanood ko po yun.
Oo, okay. Sige. And we just want to know dahil si Yang Hong Min sinasabi rin na may involvement sa droga at tinanong ko na siya dyan at so let's take a look at the others now. Kay Rose, no? Rose, sa tingin mo saan galing nga? You're aware na yung sa Pogo? Anong pangalan nung kinuli doon sa China nung isang araw? Kinulong kagad?
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry po, pero hindi po ako aware po kung yesterday po yung nangyari. Pasensya po.
2 days ago, hinuli siya ng People's... merong nagsasalita rito, taga China. Alvin Chow ang pangalan.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, pero hindi ko po kilala at hindi po ako...
Alvin Chow was arrested by Chinese authorities. He's a super billionaire, big-time operator. At alam mo, ang charge sa kanya, nag-ooperate siya ng pinagbabawal na pogo sa ibang bansa, particularly the Philippines. So bawal yung pogo sa kanila pero pinapabayaan dito ng Pangulo natin magkaroon ng pogo. Pinagbabawal sa China. Ganun siya ka-close sa China na ala ko natatakot siya sa China, di na kaya pero yung ginagawa nila sa pogo, pinapaglaro dito. Alright? So that's why yung extent ng itong investments on 136 million, I have to ask you those questions because nakakapagtaka at marami ka rin kotse, may Escalade, mayroon pang ibang kotse, pinagbili mo na kahapon yung Escalade at mayroon ka pang Toyota Land Cruiser, yun ang preferred car mo of choice and definitely dapat mapaliwanag lahat yan para we can have a clean slate. Now, with respect to kilala mo ba itong si kasama mo si Uson?
Kasama po si Uson dahil business partner po sa mga company, Mr. Chairman.
Business partner niyo si Uson?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Papakita ko naman si Uson sa iyo, no? Para malaman mo. Ba't nagtatago siya? Ba't ayaw humarap? Nasaan siya? Si Jason Uson.
Hindi po alam kung saan si Mr. Uson, Jason Uson po.
Oo. Kilala mo siya kamo, di ba? Partner mo eh.
Yes po.
Hindi ka ba nagtataka? Hindi siya nagpapakita?
Mr. Chairman, nagtataka rin po kung bakit po sila hindi nagpapakita. Pero hindi ko po alam kung saan po sila at wala po akong communication po sa kanila.
But you know them, right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Si Jason Uson nagpasok ng 5.49 million or 55% of DCLA Plaza. Alam mo ba yan?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, nakikita naman po sa FS po at sa GIS po ng company.
Magkasama ba kayo sa DCLA Plaza?
DCLA Plaza po taong 2021. Pero ngayon po kasi, Mr. Chairman, wala na po ako sa DCLA po.
Galing ka rin dyan, right?
Before po.
At DCLA Plaza, si Michael Yang yan.
I'm not sure po kung si Michael po sa DCLA Plaza.
Kaibigan niya naman si Michael Yang eh. Yung asawa mo, kaibigan-kaibigan niya, hindi ba?
Kaibigan niya po. Yes po, Mr. Chair.
Hindi, kaibigan, hindi kaibigan.
Kaibigan po.
Baka mamaya magduda ka pa sa asawa mo kung sabi mo kaibigan, di ba? Having said that, so early days, nandun ko na kagad sa DCLA Plaza. Natayo yan kailan?
Mr. Chairman, sorry po.
Kailan natayo yung DCLA Plaza?
Plaza, wala po ako sa DCLA Plaza. I'm so sorry po.
Ano ako sinabi mo?
Yes, sorry po, sorry po.
Kailan ko pumasok sa Palil Estate, di ba? Umalok May 17, 2011. Kasama ba sa Palil Estates si Michael Yang? Naku naman.
Sa Pili Estate po, ang mga directors po dyan na kasama ko, wala pong Michael Yang po, Mr. Chairman.
Wala siya doon. Alright.
Mr. Chairman.
Sa Pili Estate, kasama si Michael Yang, kasama si Jason Uson, si Gerald Cruz, at saka si Jackson Lau. Tama?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Pero,
So alam mo.
ano, Mr. Chairman? I'm sorry.
Sabi mo alam mo Sagot. Ang bilis mo sumagot
Magkasama po dahil directors din po sila at may investment po sila sa Pili po.
You're really very close to Michael Yang.
My husband po is a business partner and a friend of Michael Yang. Pero kung personally niyo po ako na tinatanong, we're not close po dahil po hindi po kami magkakaintindihan.
Oh, come on. Ano
Yes,
ba yun?
Mr. Chairman. Hindi naman po ako magaling magsalita po ng Chinese, ng salita po.
Sabi, siya marunong mag-Tagalog at mag-Bisaya. Marunong pa siya mag-English.
Tagalog, pero konti,
Paano
Mr.
siya mabubuhay since 1999? This is now 2021. Sabihin mo sa akin, you're trying to make me believe na hindi siya marunong mag-Tagalog, na hindi siya marunong mag-Bisaya?
Mr. Chairman, ang sinasabi ko po is marunong po siya pero konti po. Pilipit po ang pagtatagalog po niya.
Kahit na Pilipit, nakakaintindi siya. Masyado ka matalas sumagot, mabilis. You think you can get away with that?
No, Mr. Chairman, I'm telling you
I just want to make sure that you're not being too clever and a half. All right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
I'm suggesting be careful because you cannot make us believe na Michael Yang does not know how to speak the language. And if I raise my voice, it's only because I am incredulous. All right? Now,
Mr. Chairman, gusto ko po lang po linawin na hindi po kami nag-uusap ni Michael Yang dahil ang kinakausap niya po ay yung asawa ko.
Chairman, naka-mute kayo.
I'm sorry. Ang sinasabi ko ay 4 na korporasyon kayo magkakasama ni Michael Yang. Correct? How can you say you don't know him personally? You don't go with him personally?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Kasama ka sa Pili Estate, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Kasama kayo ni Michael Yang doon. Kasama kayo sa Patek Land, correct?
Tama po, Mr. Chairman.
Kasama kayo sa Happy 168, correct?
Yes po, Mr. Chairman.
Kasama kayo si Michael Yang uli sa Pili Holdings Corporation, tama?
Tama po, Mr. Chairman.
So how can you say you don't really know him?
Mr. Chairman, hindi po kami close ni Mr. Yang.
Tinatanong ko close sa sinasabi ko if you don't know him. You see, you're too clever and a half when you answer. I'm sorry. I have to be frank. There are witnesses who look very confident. Akala nila because we're asking you questions gently. And you say, hindi kayo close. That's evasive. You know him. You're part of the corporation to which he belongs. You're an investor in these corporations, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so that's
I know him
what
po.
I wanted to say. And then ito si, saan pa yung iba? Sila, and you know Jason Uson, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Tama po.
Kasama ni Jason Uson.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Hindi po kita narinig.
Saan kayo makakasama ni Jason Uson? Nawawala.
Kasama po kami sa mga companies po.
Sige, sabihin mo sa akin kung ano yun. Ako naman, ikaw naman magsabi sa akin.
Mr. Chairman, okay lang po ba na tingnan po
Pala dyan eh. Sige, go ahead.
dito? Magkasama po kami sa Piley po.
Piley Estate.
Yes po. That's right po, Mr. Chairman.
Pateklan.
Patik po, magkasama rin po kami. Happy 168 po, magkasama rin po kami, Mr. Chairman. Magkasama rin po kami sa Majestic po, Mr. Chairman.
Sa Clarkfield.
Yes po.
So, kasama rin kayo sa Coolwin.
Yes po.
Coolwin. Kasama rin kayo sa Power Megamix, correct?
Yes po, tama po yan, Mr. Chairman.
Kasama rin kayo sa Payong Realty, correct?
Magkasama rin po kami, Mr. Chairman.
Philly Holdings.
Magkasama rin po kami.
Sapphire Jewel, 168 Holding.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
So lumalabas, talaga kilala mo talaga ito mga ito. You travel in the same company, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Masasabi po natin ganun. Dahil
One
magka-business
of these 9 companies are associated with Mr. Michael Young.
May mga companies po na nandyan si Mr. Michael Young.
Correct. It's reasonable to assume that these companies have interlocking directors, including yourself, right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Totoo po.
You're studying all these companies, right?
Yes po.
So you really have a long-standing business relationship with Mr. Michael Young because your husband and he are friends and you sit on his board, right? Several boards with him, right?
Opo.
So it is reasonable to say that Michael Young trusts you as a business partner, correct?
Pwede po natin na masabi yan, Mr. Chairman. But he trusts my husband's
Because
board.
lahat ng kanyang kumpanya kasama ka, so pinagtitiwalaan ka. How long is your business relationship been with Michael Young? I can compute again if you like.
We start 2011, Mr. Chairman.
2011, and it's now 10 years, right? So talagang may pinagsamahan kayo. Right? And how did you meet Mr. Michael Young?
I met Mr. Michael Young through the introduction of my husband, Mr. Chairman.
So talagang close si husband mo at saka siya.
Yes po. Sila pong magkakilala.
Pero sinama ka na sa korporasyon, no?
Yes po, Mr. Chairman. Tama po yun.
How did you come to decide to be in the same company as Michael Young?
Nakikita po namin na mayroon pong potential ng mga businesses po kung saan kasama po si Mr. Michael Young.
Ano pa, paano?
I'm sorry? Ang sinabi ko po,
Nakikita yung ano?
mayroon po potential yung mga businesses po na kasama po namin sila.
Right. Di ba, ganyan naman ang Chinese, di ba? Magkakasama sila, they travel like a pack of wolves, a pack of hyenas, a pack of friends, a pack of schoolmates, di ba?
Yes po. Kasi negosyo po nila nagbe-base po sa trust din sa bawat.
Ganun ang mga kwan, di ba?
Opo.
And the companies have become very profitable, right?
Yes po. Yung iba po.
But of course, lahat yan, nung pinipirmahan yan, meron kang abogado?
Yes po, dumadaan po yan sa attorney ko bago po ako mag-sign. Dahil syempre po, may mga legal po na terms na hindi ko alam. So, kailangan po dumaan po sa kanila.
Alam nyo, kasi pagka ganyan may mga kalokohan na nangyayari, hindi ko na sasabihin sa inyo yung principle, basta I'm just laying the predicate right now. Sinasabi ko lang na ito mga nangyayari ay talagang lalo na pumasok itong si Michael Young sa Pharmally na nagsinungaling siya, ayaw niya aminin, nakasama siya. Sinabi niya, pinakilala lang niya kay Presidente. Tapos yung pala, siya ay founder, financier, at saka siya ang kumokontak ng ibang mga Chinese at siya ang naglalabas ng mga nakakakuha ng mga kumpanya sa China, correct?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Are you asking me po ba?
No, I'm just stating a fact. Di ba? Alam mo yan, di ba? Alam mo yan. Alam mo yan, dahil siyempre, magkasama kayo ng asawa mo eh. May nagtataka ko lang, ba't hindi umuwi yung asawa mo? It's cannot be just COVID. Tagal na yung COVID niya eh. Saka mukhang malaking katawan ng asawa mo eh.
Ay, hindi po, Mr. Chairman. Ngayon po pumayat po siya.
Ha?
At ngayon po pumayat po siya.
Pabayat.
Yes po, Mr. Chairman. Dahil po sa health po niya.
Anong health niya? Ano ba ang problema sa health niya?
Ay, yun nga po, Mr. Chairman, tinamaan po yung lungs po niya. So, under medication po siya.
Eh, lahat naman, tinamaan. Ako rin, na-COVID eh. Alright? But anyway, we'd like to invite him here. Try to get him home so we can see him. It would be nice if he could appear. Alright?
Sasabihan ko po siya, Mr. Chairman.
Are you gonna try and do that?
Sasabihan ko po siya, Mr. Chairman.
Last time you heard, sabi mo, nasa Dubai siya for a business trip. Tapos ngayon sinasabi mo, hanggang ngayon may COVID siya, mahina ang kanyang katawan. Di ba magastos yun? Hindi
Yes
mo
po.
sa Dubai. May bahay ba kayo sa Dubai?
Mr. Chairman, i-clarify ko rin po na mayroon po investment kami sa Dubai.
Aha. Ano, Pogo? May Pogo ba doon?
Ang alam ko po is nagsusource out po sila for Pogo. Yes po.
So may Pogo rin doon.
Pagkakaalam ko po.
Pinapabawal sa China yan. Hindi ko ba natatakot kapag nag-iinit ang ulo ni Xi Jinping katulad doon si Steven Alvin Chow. Pinakulong na lang bigla. Hindi na nakita kaagad. Bumaksak na yung stock market nila dahil doon. Siya ang pinakamayaman doon sa Pogo. Pumapasok ka sa negosyong ganyan at hindi naman kanais-nais dito sa atin yan. Kung minsan may kinikidnap. May parehong mga Chinese, no? Tapos kinukulo yung mga subdivision. But anyway, that's beside the point. I'm not asking about that. There are just some pernicious things that happen with Pogo. So, yun na muna. Tatalay ko sa'yo, yun na muna. At obviously, susun yung relationship ninyo. At talagang may kinalaman talaga kung magkakasama sila na doon ba sa Pharmally, sumali ba kayo dyan na yung sa pag-susupply sa gobyerno?
Hindi po, Mr. Chairman.
Alright, take your word for it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So, I suppose, I guess that will be my question for now until your husband arrives. Alright?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
When do you expect that he will arrive here?
I'm not sure, Mr. Chairman, pero pagsasabihan ko po siya na gusto niyo po siya mag-attend po sa Senate hearing pa.
Yes. All right. Okay. I think, are there, si Gerald Cruz, kilala mo rin siya?
Yes po, Mr. Chairman.
Tataka ako si Gerald Cruz, alam mo, di ba? Siya ang pumirma ng kontrata ng kumpanya ni Michael Yang doon sa Forbes Park. At doon ka rin nakatira, hindi ba?
No, Mr. Chairman, hindi po ako doon nakatira. At hindi ko po alam.
Nakatira ka rin doon dahil ginagamit ni Michael Yang yan, di ba?
Mr. Chairman, nakatira po ako sa Forbes, nagre-rent po kami, pero hindi po doon same na house.
You have the same house, same street, not the same house, correct?
Yeah, same street po. Nakatira po ako with my kids po.
Kaya nga, hindi ko sinasabi nakatira sa bahay mo. Nakatira siya doon sa inayo si Gerald Cruz na bahay niya on the same street sa iyo, right?
Tama po, Mr. Chairman.
Tama. Okay, sige. You know, we do our homework so nakakapagtaka yung biglang yaman talaga ni Michael Yang at ang dami niyang kumpanya. Ano yung negosyo sa Clark Holdings?
Bahay po yun. Clark condominiums that we sell.
Kompleto na yan, di ba? Natapos yun bago mag-Asian Games pa?
Ay, hindi pa, Mr. Chairman.
Ano pa kailangan gawin?
Marami pa pong kailangan gawin at marami pa pong aayusin.
Magkano pumasok ang investment doon? Magkano na nagastos? Ilang building ba yun? 3?
Mr. Chairman, pagdating po sa mga finances po ng company, I'm sorry po, hindi ko masasagot. Dahil hindi po ako yung in charge po noon at hindi po ako may hawak.
Pero kasama ka sa korporasyon, di ba dapat alam mo yan?
May mga tao po o departments po na may
You're a board member of a corporation, you should know, di ba?
Yes po, pero hindi po
Corporate
lahat.
development, di ba?
Overseeing lang po ng operation kung maayos po ito o hindi. Dahil we trust naman po yung mga tao po namin.
You're the corporate secretary, correct?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
You're the corporate secretary, you're the keeper of the records and the minutes of the meetings, right? Pirma sa mga dokumento, correct?
Mr. Chairman, ako po yung corporate secretary pero hindi po ako nagtatago ng mga documents po ng company dahil pagmamayari po yan ng company.
But you do know that you're responsible as corporate secretary for all the documents.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Kung kami nagtatago ka, ang sinasabi ko, you're the corporate secretary. Ang duty ng corporate secretary ay pangalagaan lahat ng dokumento. Lalo na yung mga board meetings. Dahil bago sila mag-invest sa Clark Holdings, sasabihin nila, ito papasok natin pera dyan. Ilan ikabong building na nandun?
I'm not sure po kung natapos niya po kung ilang building po ang
Yun ang problema ko eh. Alam mo, hindi ka sigurado dahil actually, ginagamit lang yung pangalan mo.
No, Mr. Chairman.
O, ba't di mo alam?
Mr. Chairman, pagdating po kasi sa operation, ng asawa ko po ang in charge po doon sa documentation.
No, you're the corporate secretary, hindi mo pwede ipasa sa kasawa mo yan. Hindi ko conjugal yung corporate secretary. Hindi conjugal yun. Ikaw yun.
Opo, Mr. Chairman. Pero I trust my husband po dahil yung mga business...
It doesn't have anything to do with your husband. He may be your friend of your... Michael Yang is a friend of your husband, but you are the corporate secretary. Ang tanong ko, ginagamit lang yung pangalan mo. Yes?
Hindi ko po maintindihan kung paano niyo po masasabi po sa akin, kung paano niyo po sinasabi.
Ano man magiging corporate secretary, tinatanong ko kung anong sitwasyon.
Sir Chairman, sorry po.
You should know the transactions of the corporation. Dahil dumadaan sa board yan. Papasok sa minutes yan, di ba?
Mr. Chairman, ang sa Clark...
You're not a tau-tauhan. Hindi ka dami.
Hindi po ako dami.
Hindi mo alam. You know, lumalabas na hindi mo alam corporate secretary ka, talaga nagpapagamit ka ng pangalan mo. Yun ang nagiging conclusion namin. Or ako at least. Ang dami mong korporasyon. Pag tinanong kita doon sa ibang korporasyon na inaarawakan mo, yung ba rin ang isasagot mo, hindi ka nakikialam doon sa mga kwan. Halimbawa, bigay mo ng ibang korporasyon, masasabi ko sa inyo, hindi mo alam yung Clark. Ang laki-laking investment yan Magkano ba inabot yan?
Mr. Chairman, hindi ko masasagot po sa inyo kung magkano po ang inabot.
Again, see?
Sorry po.
And your investment there is how much? 50 million, correct?
Yes po, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, hindi ka ba natatakot doon sa 50 million mo? Pareho kayo ni Mr. Wang, hindi natatakot na pinapaikot yung pera, hindi mo malaman kung nagdi-deliver? You have 50 million and you're telling me you do not know?
Mr. Chairman, I trust my husband po sa mga decisions po.
No. Your husband is not.
So,
Una-una, kasama ba yung asawa mo dyan?
sa Majestic,
Director?
hindi po siya director.
He is not the director. So, the primary responsibility as a corporate secretary is that you are the keeper of the papers and documents of the corporation. You're in charge of that. And that you ought to know, because pinag-uusapan sa board yan, kung ilan ang investments, ilan ang building, ilan ang nag-ooperate na ba yan? Alam ko, nag-ooperate na yan
Ang pagkakaalam ko po, hindi pa po, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, we trust po yung mga staff po namin at officers po na inassign po namin po doon.
Excuse me?
We trust po yung mga staff and officers po na inassign po namin po doon. May
Ano
mga
yung inassign? Ano yung inassign?
ibig ko po sabihin, may mga tao po kami na nag-maintain po ng operations po doon.
Yeah, So, para bantayan lang.
Bantayan at see to it po na maayos po ang operations po. Dahil po,
Nabimit kayo ng board, meron meeting yan. Kinukuha mo yung minutes, di ba?
yes po, sa nakikita niyo po.
Pasok ng ninyo sa korporasyon, may 50 million ko doon. Saan ginamit yan? And the answer is?
Mr. Chairman, yung 50 million po is yun po yung ginamit namin na pang-invest po doon sa pagpapatayo po ng project po si Clark.
Alam mo ba na yung Pagdinig Estate or Pagdinig Holdings, maraming sasakyan yan?
Alam ko po may mga sasakyan po ang mga companies po.
Hindi, yung Pagdinig lang.
I'm not aware po kung how many companies, how many cars mayroon po ang Pagdinig po.
You're a corporate secretary. You're the president of Pagdinig. Ito yung Pagdinig, isa naman. Presidente ka ng Pagdinig, di ba?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Hindi mo alam, may mga kotse kayo, marami kayong kotse?
Alam ko po na may mga kotse po kami, Mr. Chairman, pero hindi ko po alam kung ilan na po ang bilang ng mga kotse po sa kasalukuyan po.
Pwede ba naman yun, Iha? Kung nagpapatakbo niya, pag presidente, ano ba, nakakahawa ba yung sakit ni Ong? Pag tinanong ka, nakakalimutan mo, hindi ka nakikialam pagka finances na, i-trust my husband. Pagdating naman dito ngayon sa Pagdinig, hindi ko alam yung mga kotse, basta nanganganak talaga yung kotse sa garahe ko, ganun ba papaniwalaan ko?
Hindi, Mr. Chairman. Pwede ko po
sabihin mo, hindi mo pwedeng hindi mo alam. You're the president. Magkano investments mo doon? 50, 50 million, di ba?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Pag bumibili yung kumpanya, hindi mo alam? Kung pipirma doon, di ba?
No, Mr. Chairman, mayroon po kami designated staff po na pumipirma po sa mga purchasing po pag maliliit lamang.
I-clear sa yan. Ibig sabihin, bibili na lang yung staff. Pinapabayaan mo lang sila. Kailan ang bilhin na lang kotse, pababayaan mo. I can't believe that. You're a very smart answering lady and you're telling me that you don't know how many cars your staff buys?
Mr. Chairman, yan po ang katotohanan.
I have 1,500 ambulances here in the Red Cross. I know that I bought 6 and now going on the 7th ambulance sa China. Nabili namin na tinatawag na negative pressure. Alright? I know we have 28 food trucks and I occupy 2 jobs and I'm a very busy person. And you have 50 million. I am not paid here in this company in the Red Cross. I'm a volunteer. Alright? But you, may sweldo ka ba dyan?
Sa Pagdinig po, wala, Sir Chairman. Wala po.
Papayag ka? Wala ka sweldo?
May investment naman po kami.
No, it doesn't matter. Kailangan may idadak yan na may sweldo ang president, di ba? You're the CEO, correct?
I'm the president po, Mr. Chairman.
So, makikita mo, kailan ba nagsimula itong kumpanya ninyo, Rose? Itong Pagdinig. Yung building na yan. I'm sorry, Pagdinig ba yan or yung Clark?
Majestic po, Mr. Chairman.
Pagdinig. Kailan nagsimula yan, Rose?
Majestic po nagsimula ng kung hindi po ako magkakamali, 2013, Mr. Chairman, yung Pagdinig po.
No. May 17, 2011 kayo nagsimula.
Yung pagpapatayo po ba ng building?
Pagdinig Holdings na tinatanong ko sa iyo.
Saan siya po, Mr. Chairman? 2011 po ang Pagdinig Holdings
2011, alright?
Po.
And ano ang principal investments ng Pagdinig Estate? Ng Pagdinig Holdings, I'm sorry.
Hey, Mr. Chairman,
Diba
na ipakuha ko sa staff ko, ipacheck ko po sa documents na nandito.
Why don't you know? You should know, you're the president.
Ng corporation
And
na
it leads me to the conclusion that you are just occupying the space para masunod yung may tatago yung pera either ng asawa mo o ni Michael Yang. Pero ikaw sasagot, right? Come on, that's easily answered. Totoo naman yun eh. Huwag mo na ilagay lahat siya, ilagay mo sa pangalan ko para hindi na tayo sisilipin dahil panay Chinese na tayo dito. Right?
Mr. Chairman, sa amin naman po mag-asawang pagkakaintindi ko po, kung hindi po siya pwede, ako po. Dahil po para sa amin, kung ano pong property niya, kung ano pong investment niya, investment ko rin po.
You don't have to tell me that. That's in the law.
Hindi ko po.
Conjugal partnership dito di ba? Palagi kayong magkasama. At dyan, ang kaibahan dyan, hindi ka lang palaasa sa asawa mo. Ikaw presidente ka ng ilang kumpanya. Ilan ang presidente siya ng kumpanya? Ilan yan? You're president of five. Right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Do you remember kung anong presidente ka? I'll tell you. Kung hindi mo na naman ma-remember, magdududa na talaga ako sa'yo.
Sean Wade po, Mr. Chairman. Isa po yun sa mga company na president po ako. Nandiyan po Majestic po, Mr. Chairman.
Majestic is not the name of the corporation?
Majestic po yung sa Clark po, Mr. Chairman.
Hindi ba Piley Estate ang may hawak yan?
Yes po. Pero magkaiba po yung Piley
Piley
sa
Holdings?
Pero magkaiba po ang Piley sa Majestic po, Mr. Chairman.
Really?
Opo.
Then somebody's making a mistake here. Piley Holdings is supposed to own Clark Majestic.
May investment po siya sa Clark Majestic po. Pero ang pangalan po talaga is Clark Majestic po.
Yung pangalan ng hotel or whatever it is. So yung sinasabi mong condos. Di ba?
Opo.
So, if I keep asking like this, I don't want to embarrass you. You cannot admit naman talaga na ginamit lang talaga yung pangalan mo because you were receptionist ka ba dati? Hindi kita kinukuha and I'm happy for you na gumanda ang buhay mo. In fact, you were going to run for Congress. Are you still running for Congress?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Kita mo? That's the American dream or the Filipino dream, right? And where did you say you graduated before?
University of San Agustin, Iloilo, Mr. Chairman.
Ilongga ka. Kababayan mo pala magaling na university yan. Alright? And you got a job saan? As
Marami po ako
receptionist?
naging job before, Mr. Chairman.
Saan?
Marami po ako naging job before, Mr. Chairman.
When did you meet your husband?
As I said before, na-met ko po yung husband ko dahil sa isa ko pong trabaho dito sa hotel sa Manila.
You were working in a hotel in Manila.
Yes, Mr.
Which
Chairman.
hotel would that be?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Which hotel would that be?
Great Eastern Hotel po.
Great
Eastern Hotel.
Eastern Hotel.
Yes po.
Saan nakalagay yan? Hindi ko alam yun Saan yan?
Sa Quezon Ave, Mr. Chairman.
Quezon City.
Yes po.
Kasi naging Secretary of Tourism ako noong 2004 Siguro tinayo yan after I'm gone. O maybe tinayo na yan. Hindi ko lang naman nalaman. No? So you see, you met him there. And now you become a very successful housewife. Your kids go to international school, di ba? Chinese international school ba?
Makati po. Makati Christian School.
Is that an international school?
Hindi po. Medyo half po yun
So magandang buhay nyo. And I'm happy for you. All I'm just asking is that, siyempre, hindi naman pwedeng pangatawanan ng asawa mo lahat yung mga property pinapangalan sa inyo. Di ba? In fact, yung mga anak mo, nakapangalan sa kanila iba, di ba?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Wala po sa mga anak ko dahil hindi pa po sila pwede. Mga minor.
Okay. Meron bang kumpanya dyan na dapat na nationalized industries or those with economic restrictions under the 1987 Constitution? Saan yun? Ano yung mga kumpanya na hindi pwedeng naging majority ang mga Chinese or foreigners?
Alam ko po, Mr. Chairman, sa lahat po ng company namin ay 60-40 po.
Correct. So, para ma-meet yun, yung 60%, nilalagay sa pangalan ninyo. Kapatid mo ba yung ibang nono?
Yes po, yung nasa Sean Way po.
Yung real estate business at saka yung di ba?
Apo.
So, may restriction yan. So, pagka hindi nyo mamimit yan, ilalagay sa pangalan mo para mamimit diumano'y yung 60% requirement. Correct? Ma'am?
Mr. Chairman.
Talaga naman Ginagawa yan. Maraming mga tao ginagawa yan.
Mr. Chairman, sa lahat po ng pinapasok po namin na company, at kung saan po ilalagay po namin is may mga legal advices po from our lawyers. Dahil ayaw naman po namin na
You can always say that, but my point is you are the president of Piley Holdings and yet you don't know kung ilan ang kotse ng mga sasakyan ninyo na nandoon at itinuturo mo yung staff mo. Hindi naman makakabili yung staff mo kundi mo malalaman. Kahit na hindi ka pipirma, aalamin mo. Did you say so?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Tulad nga sinabi ko sa'yo, ako, busy ko, pero alam ko lahat kung anong ginagawa namin dito na para tumakbo na matino. Pati yung mga molecular labs, alam ko kung nasa naroon. Alam ko pag may nag-donate sa akin ng 100 motorcycles, alam ko kung nasa naroon. Alright? Pinapadala namin sa mga chapters. Ikaw dapat alam mo rin yon. Unless, ang talaga nagpapatakbo ay iba, pero you're just riding the title.
Salamat po sa advice, Mr. Chairman.
I'm not giving advice. I'm telling you.
Aalpin ko po.
Pag ako hininga mo ako ng advice as a lawyer, hindi kita sisingilin because hindi ako pwede mag-practice because I'm in the Senate. All right?
Salamat po, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. You're a very nice lady, but I just want to make sure that you wag kang mahawa doon sa nagsisinungaling na nandiyan sa malapit sa atin dyan sa tabi-tabi. All right? I guess that's all for now. Unless Senator Dillon or Senator Antiveros has a question.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Just one final question, if I may.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yung bang, the permission, yung bang question of beneficial ownership, do you understand that?
Ang alin, Mr. Chairman? Dun po sa mga ni-request niyo po?
No, yung mga pangalan na ikaw ay, ang beneficial ownership ay yung asawa mo or si Michael Yang o yung mga foreigners, correct?
Yes po, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to hear. All right?
Yes.
So, yun. Yes, my dear Senator and colleague, Senator Risa Hontiveros.
Salamat, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to make a request of the chairman for certain information from the Bureau of Immigration. Pero bago po nun, follow up dun sa mga tanong ni Chairman kay Ms. Nonolin. Ms. Nonolin, kailan nyo na-meet yung asawa nyo doon sa Great Eastern Hotel?
Na-meet ko po yung asawa ko year 2017. Ay, 2007, sorry.
2007.
07.
Okay, salamat Ms. Nonolin. Salamat Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, yung request ko po, if the chairman could kindly request from the Bureau of Immigration yung biometrics data nung asawa ni Ms. Rose Nonolin, si Lin Wei Xiong. I so request, Mr. Chairman.
It's citywide, Senator Antiveros. What specifically do we want to ask? Yung mga fingerprint?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Basically, the fingerprints.
I think we may already have that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Then I'll just
Lin Wei
request.
Xiong, under Lin Wei Xiong.
Yes, Lin Wei Xiong, Mr. Chairman. Then I'll just request a copy from the Director General. Is that right?
That's correct, yes.
All right. Thank you
I
so
will
much.
comply.
Salamat, Director General. Salamat po, Mr. Chairman.
Kimbo, please supply all the senators that copy.
Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.
I had one final question before. Can you bring back the slide bago yan? In previous slide. Ang inaalala ko sa'yo, Rose, ikaw magbabayad lahat ng taxes dyan, di ba? Sabi mo, wala ka sweldo. Pag binigyan ka ng kotse, meron kang babayaran ng tax dyan. Kung binigyan ng kumpanya. Meron bang kotse nakapangalan sa kumpanya o nakapangalan mo lahat sa iyo yun? Ang alam ko, nakapangalan lahat sa iyo yun, di ba?
May mga sasakyan po, Mr. Chairman, na nakapangalan po sa company po. May isa po kong sasakyan na ginagamit na under po sa company.
Anong kumpanya, anong sasakyan niya?
Land Cruiser po, Mr. Chairman.
I have all the names of the cars that you're holding. Kanino nakapangalan yan? Yan Toyota Alphard. Sa iyo ba nakapangalan yan? O sa
Yes, Mr.
company?
Chairman. Sa pangalan ko po yan. Dahil ginagamit ko yan ng mga anak ko.
So dapat sa pangalan niya raw yung Toyota Alphard. Are you sure?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yung Toyota Fortuner.
Fortuner? Wala po akong Fortuner, Mr. Chairman.
These are the company cars. Ang lumalabas dito, tinatanong lang kita, I know what, these are 15 cars all in all na binili ng kumpanya, kaya kita tinatanong. Nakikipag-argue sa akin dito yung staff ko, natatawa ako.
Mr. Chairman, pasensya po.
Company car yan. So may Toyota Alphard ka. Sabi mo yung Toyota Alphard sa pangalan mo.
Yes
Is
po.
that the
Kasi
same
meron
thing?
po kami Toyota Alphard, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry po, mali po yung
Dalawang
pagkakaintindi.
Alphard ninyo eh, dalawa. Isa sa company, isa sa iyo, correct?
Yes po. May isa po na nakapangalan po sa akin. Kaya po yun yung sinabi ko.
Pero
na
ginagamit mo rin yung Toyota na nakalagay sa pangalan mo.
Yun po ang ginagamit ko,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Sorry?
Yun po ang ginagamit ko, Mr. Chairman. Ang Alphard po na nakapangalan po sa akin.
Yan. So marami-raming kotse ito nakalagay sa pangalan ng kumpanya ninyo. Toyota Fortuner, Toyota Innova, 13 cars and 3 motorcycles ba yan? Oh, meron pang isang Alphard na naman dito. May 6/2021 na registration. Oh. Yung Cadillac Escalade, sa pangalan ba sa iyo yan?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, nakapangalan po yun sa akin. Ang other po sa personal ko po.
Ang totoo yan, dalawa yan, di ba?
Ang alam ko po yung sa amin lang po.
Pero meron rin ang kumpanya ng Escalade, Cadillac. Bakit hindi mo alam?
I'm so sorry, Mr. Chairman, kasi hindi po ako aware kung mayroon po ng Escalade po na naka-other po sa company.
Mr. President, siyempre dapat alam mo yan. Hindi ko matanggap na sinasabi ko, hindi mo alam eh. Lalo na may kotse ka, o namili pala kayo ng corporate ng kotse sa corporation. Saan yung magagamitin yan? Meron naman ako, sana hindi na lang pinangalan sa akin, gagamitin ko na lang as president of the corporation. Di ba tama yan?
Papacheck ko po, Mr. Chairman.
Papacheck, hindi tinatanong kita. Hindi ko tinatanong kung papacheck mo.
Pasensya na po kayo, Mr. Chairman.
Corporation, you will say, darling, huwag ka na bumili ng kotse para sa akin. Huwag mo na ako regalaan ng Cadillac sa Escalade sa garahe. Anyway, meron na akong presidente ng kumpanya natin eh. Ipapa-assign ko na lang yung kotse sa akin. Di ba?
Mr. Chairman, sorry po pero hindi po kasi ako ganun. Kung ano po bibigay po ng company po namin sa akin, wala naman po silang sahod po sa akin at hindi naman po nila ako pinagamit po ng kotse. Nasa pangalan po ng file po, nasa company.
President of the corporation, you have the ultimate decision making there. And you can just be overruled by the board, correct?
Pero yung mga sasakyan po kasi na ginagamit ko po, Mr. Chairman, personal ko po yun at ayaw ko po may issue na ginagamit ko ang sasakyan ng company for my personal use.
Ano yung Cadillac Escalade na binili mo?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Cadillac na Escalade na binili mo?
Mr. Chairman, hindi po ako bumibili po ng mga sasakyan kaya hindi po...
Ano ba ito gumagamit? Paano naman ito malalaman?
Pero hindi po...
Cadillac Escalade that you bought is 8.9 million.
Mr. Chairman, hindi po kita masasagot kung tama po o hindi dahil po sinabi ko po.
Kung tatakbo ka pag congresswoman, hindi mo alam yung kotseng ginagamit mo?
Yan po siguro ang presyo sa market, Mr. Chairman. Pero hindi po kasi ako yung bumibili. Sorry po.
Siyempre magtatanong, malay mo kung kinarnap yan. O halimbawa, kinarnap sa iyo yan. Itatalay mo. Di ba?
Mr. Chairman, hindi naman
po. Hindi ako may-ari niyan.
Asawa ko.
Come on, Iha. Don't be clever and a half. That's my description. You're getting closer and closer to Miss Mago. You know, did you read about Pinocchio? Did you ever read about Pinocchio? Humahabang ilong every time may nagsisinungaling. I'm not saying that pa yan, pero nagtataka ako, ang dami mong hindi alam, Presidente ka. You are president of 5 companies. You mean to tell me you don't know what cars the company has? You don't know what is going on? What do you know?
Yan po ang totoo, Mr. Chairman. Pagdating po sa
Sino gumagawa ng vision ng mga kumpanya mo?
vision po ng company, ay pinag-uusapan po yan, Mr. Chairman, kasama ang mga lawyers po doon.
Hindi kasama ang lawyers sa visioning iha. Pagka gagawin na, doon kasama ang lawyers. Pero kung ang vision ng kumpanya mo, ay ditong gagawin nyo, you're going to invest here, you're going to invest there, and you're going to give a bonus, you're going to do this and that, yun ang pinag-uusapan. In other words, you really are a dummy. I'll be frank. Kahit na asawa mo ang nagdidesisyon, you are a dummy.
Mr. Chairman, mas
Expect the Filipino people not to believe that. You ask whatever they ask you to sign, right?
with the help of my lawyer po, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, you have a lawyer, right? Mahal yun, ha? Sino ba ang lawyer mo? Ano pangalan ng lawyer mo?
May company lawyer po kami.
Oh, may company lawyer. Ano pangalan ng company lawyer nyo doon sa Piley Holdings?
Mr. Chairman, pwede ba na sabihin ko na lang po, na ibibigay ko na lang po, na hindi ko na lang i-divulge po dito sa national television.
No, I'm asking. I'm just trying to test your credibility. That's a fair question.
Si Attorney Elic po, yung
Yeah?
attorney po namin sa company.
Attorney?
Elic.
Name first name.
Elix, E-L-I-X.
Yes.
Ano family name?
Mr. Chairman, pwede po ba na hindi ko na lang
No, I already answered that question. No. Elix, no. I'm testing you for your credibility. Masyadong mabalasit yung dami mong kotse. Sinasabi mo palagi, asawa mo, wala yung asawa mo rito. You are part and parcel of the octopusian companies of parang octopus. Marami siyang tentacles na hinahawakan. So I have to ask you these questions because we are on an investigative mode.
Yes po. Attorney Ramos po, Mr. Chairman.
Why is it so hard to answer that? Elix Ramos. Are you sure it's not Felix?
No, not po.
K-E-T.
Huh? Anyway, I will reserve my questions for the next hearing. With the permission of my colleagues, the next hearing will be on
Mr.
February-
Chairman?
Yes,
Tapos
yes.
na.
Go ahead, Madam Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Huling tanong na lang po to just one more person who is here. Kanina kasi I was asking Mr. Dargani and Mr. Ong to, really change the course of their lives in the next few days. I just want to ask I also want to ask the same question to Ms. Dargani, Ms. Twinkle Dargani. Ms. Dargani, I'm sure you understand na talagang hinihingi ng komiteng ito yung mga dokumento ng Pharmally, especially those that have to do with the cost of goods sold, yung mga dokumento na nasa mga kahon. And I expressed to your brother, Mr. Dargani, and to Mr. Ong earlier na yung final turnover ng mga long sought after documents na yan to the committee could really change the course of things para sa kanilang dalawa within these 2 weeks na nasa quarantine pa sila bago sila ililipat sa common area ng Pasay City Jail. Could you, Ms. Dargani, compel them or together with them, could you finally inform the committee where these documents are or who can turn over these documents physically to the committee para as a sign of good faith on the part of you Philippine-based Pharmally officials sa aming komite? And I think it would really, it would really weigh on the decision of the committee through our chair regarding your brother and Mr. Ong. So what say you, Ms. Dargani? I'm speaking to you woman to woman.
Good evening, Madam. If I knew where the answer to your questions, I would have answered right away. I wouldn't want to be separated from my mother. I wouldn't want to be separated from my brother. Why would I prolong that? After I'm going through so much, that I'm all alone, I have no one to talk to. I only had my mom and my brother. If I knew where those documents were, I would have submitted Why would I want to see my brother go to jail for no crime? Why would I want to be here? I need to save myself before I can save others, but I don't know where the documents are. I don't know where to find. I don't know where to look because I've not been in any of the transactions. I've not participated in any.
Kalokohan niyo, ikaw
All right, Ms.
kayo
Dargani.
may-ari ng
And I
kampanya,
hope
hindi
you
niyo alam
know
kung saan
that
yung dokumento.
the committee,
Ang
through our
kagaguhan niyan.
chairman, have supported you in, as you say, trying to save yourself, your own mental health these days. But kasama ng chairman, kasama ng minority leader si Sen Frank, I really strongly advise that with your brother and Mr. Ong, find a way, tulad ng ginawa ng brother nyo na he wrote down the name of the one who allegedly chartered that chartered flight for you. Find a way, ikaw, brother nyo, si Mr. Ong, find a way among the three of you to communicate to the committee through our chairman the whereabouts, the person in the possession of those documents. Kasi imposibleng they vanished into thin air. And we really just need and want those documents to help complete our investigation. All right, Ms. Dargani, I hope you hear me loud and
don't know
clear.
anything, ma'am.
Yes, I
If
hear
I
you
do-
that you don't know something
Drama na.
about it. But if among the three of you, you could,
course,
give
yeah.
the committee some useful information so that we can procure those documents.
I would give it because I don't want to be separated from my mom and my brother.
All right, Ms. Dargani, I hear you too. Okay, Mr. Dargani, Mr. Ong, pakinalang, no? Gawa nyo ng paraan mabigyan ng information yung aming komite sa pamamagitan ng aming chairman. Salamat, Ms. Dargani. Salamat,
With
Mr.
the chair would like to make a recommendation as to what time the next hearing will be, and this will be on the 16th because there are still a lot of documents that we will have to get. So we'll schedule it on the 16th with your permission, as well as Senator Delon if he's there, but we'll make the proper notices. That will be at Thursday at 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock pa rin.
Then after that, we can all go to Mass for the Novena. Misa de Gallo, right? All right. I just for the record, Senator Ontiveros, I mean, there are some dramatic moments happening here right now. And the efforts that are being undertaken, Ms. Gargani, is not because we want you to have a hard time. I know you're having a hard time. But you're having a hard time because your brother shoved you into a situation. And you are already, how old are you? 28, 30 years old? How old are you? You know, I didn't even ask you hard questions, no? You celebrated your birthday, and I didn't want to add that to your problems. But you know, I just want you to know that we're trying our best not to give you any inconvenience, especially your mother, not with you, your mother. All right? But your brother put you in a position where you're the president, and now you cannot say you don't know. All right? That's not allowed. All right? I just want you to know that. Sympathize with you, but I cannot empathize with your situation because you put yourself in that. Nobody pointed the gun at you and to do all these things. So what Senator Ontiveros and I are trying to tell you is try to see your way clear. Mag-usap kayo dyan and find out how you can celebrate life like Diwal, no? Diwali, no? Para you can continue on with your lives in peace. You know, it's not going to go away. It will not go away. It is just too much. And this is one of the biggest scams that have ever been perpetrated by a government official or several government officials and by you folks. And quite frankly, all your stories are really unbelievable. As you don't know, you didn't know anything about it, that you're losing documents, that you don't know the suppliers. Come on, we're not going to stop here. So with the permission of everyone, we'd like to have you on December 9. 16, 9 days before Christmas. And I hope we can all have a Merry Christmas. But in any case, you know, I hope that you folks can find your way clear into making sure that we can. I don't want to continue this investigation unless I have to. And same thing with the committee. And this is important to our country. So maraming salamat sa lahat ng nag-attend. We will decide on some people that may not need to attend. Because right now, be aware that we're investigating not just the Pharmally, but the others who participated in the 42 billion pesos that were given. That's why I cannot ever emphasize the fact that we're going to have another possible surge. And if that happens, I don't want us doing the same mistakes all over again. Thank you very much, everyone. And time for some soul searching. Mohit, you know, I have a lot of Indian friends. In fact, I gave a message to the Indian community for Diwali. Miss Twinkle, same thing. You know, try not to pass on the blame to us. You were in there, Mr. Ong, because of what you did. All right? All of you. Thank you. And on that note, I will suspend the hearings. As I said, on 3 o'clock, at 3 o'clock, the next hearing will be at 3 o'clock, 16 December 2021. Hearing is suspended. Before I do that, Mr. Mariano, try to see your way clear. Maybe you can help. I know you can help, but you're not helping. Try to help one another. Kayong dalawa ni itong si
Luminada.
Mr. Bial. Mr. Bial. Try to be a credit to your profession. All right?
Yes po, Mr. Chairman.
Can I ask you for your help?
Yes po, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, you can call me. You can get my number from Mr. Kimbo, either of you. Para, you know, I will listen to you.
Yes po, Mr.
For
Chairman.
that matter, sila Dargani, sila Mr. Ong. I'm not, I don't want to be cruel. Compassion is something that I describe the Filipino people. You know, it must be creative, it must be competent, competitive, you know, caring and compassionate. I live by that code along with the Red Cross code. So we're not here to make you suffer, but we're not going to let the majority of our people, the great ranks of our people, suffer by your non-cooperation as well as your ill deeds, which we're going to find out. And before we get into that, it is my hope that you already express the truth and help us find the truth. Thank you all very much, and I shall see you on December 16th. Thank you very much, Mr. Sarmiento. You were a good witness. You were true, and we just needed that confirmation. And we'll call you next time if we need to call you. The Director General of the Blue Ribbon Committee is hereby advised to make sure that we talk about the next hearings on who to invite. And I hope that we can have a meeting with the NBI so that we can find out who these missing people are. We are not going to adjourn until we get these people. You know,
No.
I already said the names. Gerald Cruz, Jason Uson, Sofia Custodio, and sino ba? There are a couple of more.
Lau.
Garion, and I advise Rose Nonolive to call those people, and I may have to ask you to bring your relatives who are part of the corporations that you belong. We will do that. All right. Thank you very much, and I'll see you 9 days before Christmas. Thank you. Then we can all sing on the first day of Christmas. Thank you very much. Session is suspended.
Right. So mga kabana, tapos na yung hearing. So minsan kasi hindi makapaniwala, magko-comment lang ako bago ako in itong live na ito. Minsan kasi hindi nakakapaniwala, lalo na itong sila ni Dardani at saka sila ni Lincoln Ong at itong kapatid ni Dargani. Sila kasi yung head ng ng Pharmally. Mataas yung katungkulan nila Pero bakit hindi nila maibigay yung mga dokumento. Parang sinasabi nila nawawala yung dokumento. Sinong kumuha nun? Di ba? Ibig sabihin, itong mga kumpanya nito, walang dokumento, walang record. So, yun ang kinalabasan dito. Tingnan mo yung Royal Cargo na di ba? Nakita nyo, tinatanong ni Senador Gordon itong si Sarmiento. Ang ganda ng paliwanag eh. Lahat ng tanong ni Gordon may record sila eh. Pero itong Pharmally, walang record. Tapos, yun, nagdrama-drama na naman na gusto niya makita yung nanay niya, yung mahiwalay sa nanay niya, di ba? Pero, kaso lang yung ang hinihingi sa kanila, dokumento, pero hindi nila ma-submit. Ibig sabihin, mayroon talagang hindi maipaliwanag dyan bakit. Kasi sila yung pinakamalaking nakakuha ng transaksyon sa Pharmally. Halos nasa 12 billion daw sila eh. Imagine mo kung gaano kalaki yan. Tapos yung dokumento, wala silang dokumento ipakita kung saan yung mga yung warehouse, kung saan nila dineliver, hindi nila mapipakita. Di ba? Yung mga supplier, hindi nila mapipakita. So, hindi mo masisi kasi si Senador Gordon na ganyan yung pananaw niya dito kasi hindi niyo mapaliwanag ng tama eh. Yan ang din eh. Tapos sana yung PS-DBM talagang number 1 din. Kaya nga sinabi ni Senador Gordon yung big fish ay Silaw. Kasi Silaw sa pamumuno nila at saka ni Leong yung nangyari yan eh. Tingnan mo si Leong at saka Silaw at iba pa. Nagsigtalunan kaagad. Nung natapos, nakita nila na medyo tagilid na yung barko, ay nagsitalunan ng mga to. Tingnan mo ngayon kung saan na sila. Hindi na mahagilap itong Silaw. At saka si Leong ay nasa ombudsman na. Nakita mo yan? Sinave nila yung sarili nila sa akala nilang maliligtas yung sarili nila. Doon pa lang ay makikita mo na may mali. Kaya dapat pahuli na itong para magsama na sila doon sa Pasay City Jail itong si Silaw. So maraming salamat mga kabanat. Maraming salamat mga kabanat, hanggang diyan na lang hanggang sa muli, no? Dati mayroon akong naka-miss. Mamaya ginagawa ko rin ito nag-create highlights video ako pero hindi kasi makuha talaga kapag dirito ako kumukuha sa live. Sa live video kasi pwede ako mag-create highlight video pero nag-highlight ako pero hindi ko makukuha. May gusto kasi akong kukunin yung sinabi ni Senador Gordon na bakit hindi pinahuli ni Pangulong Duterte itong mga nasa Pharmally na hindi nagbabayad ng tax ng tama. Gusto ko yung i-highlight pero hindi ko na makikita. Kailangan kasi ma-review yung kasi pag ni-review ko maririnig yung boses at magdodoble yung sound. So, mamaya tatry ko. So, maraming salamat sa nakikipag-participant din like ito si Celso Lagas, si Joji Berlin. So, good afternoon sir, alas 12 na. At ito si Amado ngayon. Mayroon din kasi itong dito sila ni Inday. Bagamat ay anti-Gordon sila. So, good morning pa rin sa iyo kasi kanya-kanya naman yung pananaw. Yun ang pananaw nila eh. Sa akin lang trabaho kasi ng Senado yan eh. Bagamat kahit ako nga na rin ako dahil sobrang tagal. Pero nakikita natin kasi na hindi nila makukuha kasi kung itigin nila ito at sasabihin nyo isampa na lang sa husgado, sa ombudsman. Alam ko madidismiss rin ito eh. Madidismiss rin. Alam mo naman yung batas sa atin eh. Diba? Madidismiss din ito. Ito pagka mas maganda yan mo muna sa publiko para makilala tunay yung ugali nila bago mo at least kung matalo ka man, halimbawa ma-dismiss man ito, at least alam naman ng tao kung anong klase ka. Alam naman natin yung batas natin ay napakahina eh. Tingnan mo si Adbayalde na-dismiss din, di ba? Sabi nga Senador Gordon nung nag-file sa kanya ng kaso batch niya rin sa palagay mo anong klaseng kaso yun? Kagaya dito kung isasampa sa ombudsman, andun yung halos doon ay kapartido ni President Duterte. Sa palagay niyo may mangyayari din dito. Dismiss din ang kilabasan nito. Dapat makita mo na talaga, may stabilize talaga yung konkreto nga ebidensya bago mo ito isampa. Kasi para sure talaga. Kasi kung hindi, wala ding silbi ito eh. Alam sabi ng mga antay sa pagdinig dito. Sabi niyo, sige, isampa niyo na agad. Sampahan na lang ng kaso. Paano mga sampahan na hindi pa talaga solido? 'Di ba? At saka pag isampa mo yan, hindi na makita ng taong bayan kasi hindi naman pwede i-live doon sa korte. Hindi naman pwede videohin doon. Wala, tahimik. Maganda ito, nabubunyag yung tunay na tingnan mo si Lincoln noong si Dardani. napaka-imposible na hindi nila alam yung dokumento na yan kung talagang legit yung kumpanya nila. Lumalabas na hindi legit yung kumpanya mo dahil hindi mo maipakita yung dokumento kung saan yung mga dokumento mo. Di ba? Kasi kung talagang inaalagaan mong kumpanya mo, bawat transaksyon dapat nakalista yan in case for emergency, in case kung anong mangyari sa huli, mayroon kayong babasihan. Hindi yung wala palang dokumento doon pa lang ay magtaka ka na bakit ganon? Di ba? O yan lang, hanggang dyan na lang mga kabanat at maraming salamat. Evening, good afternoon, alas 12 na at ingat kayo palagi. Maraming salamat sa nanonood, no? Lalo na itong sa 122 na nanonood. Maraming salamat.